Chapter 956. At that moment, inside the break room on the top floor of the hotel, the interrogation from hell continued. Nietang Xiao was gazing out the window at the crowd of people below. Amongst those three, who does mommy like the most? Clearly those three referred to Luo Chun, Gong Su, and Han Xianyu. Tang Bin and Song Chong were shivering in fear together. Please don't ask anymore. King, we beg of you, we're still just kids. We don't know anything. What's up with you two? At that moment, Yuan Wan, who had just finished her duties, opened the door and strode in. As a result, she noticed Tang Bin and Song Chong's expressions of fright. Nothing. The duo didn't dare snitch and obediently retreated to the side. Mommy. When the little boy saw Yuan Wan, he immediately jumped down from his chair and ran over, revealing a soft smile and glittering eyes. On his pink, flushed cheeks were two little dimples. Tang Bin, Song Chong, King, when you're like this, our hearts can't take it. Big brother. The little fella instantly changed what he was about to call her when he realized he almost addressed her incorrectly. Yuan Wan rubbed the little fella's jade cheeks. It's okay. When no one is around, you can call me mommy. Not only could he call her mommy, but even if he wanted the stars in the sky, she would fly up and pick them for him. About half an hour later, a herd of footsteps rang out from outside the door. The others were coming back in waves. They could see Assistant Xiaoqing and two security guards carrying in a bunch of flowers and gifts given by fans. Luo Chen was following behind, dressed in an army uniform as promotion for the series. Luo Chen was the simple type, but now he was dressed in an army lieutenant uniform with white gloves, black leather shoes, and a belt with a buckle with a shining eagle. This type of outfit really suited him. No wonder all the fans outside were screaming to the point where their voices cracked. Yiji. After coming in, Luo Chen headed towards Yuan Wan. Beside him, his assistant was carrying a box which was handed over to Yuan Wan. Yiji, this is for you to take back and try. This is... Yuan Wan didn't understand. It's for massaging. Didn't you always say your muscles were sore? My fans gave me a massager and I tried it. It wasn't bad, so I bought another one for you, Luo Chen replied. Grooming a considerate and understanding artist is simply too wonderful. Okay then, I'll try it. Thanks. Yuan Wan wasn't going to be polite with him and accepted his gift directly. She patted Luo Chen on the shoulder then praised him. You look very handsome today. Luo Chen suddenly felt very shy. Thanks. Nietang Xiao quietly sized up Luo Chen beside Yuan Wan. When he heard her say, "Today you look very handsome," his expression didn't change but his brows knit together. Yiji, this is... At that moment, Luo Chen finally noticed the child beside Yuan Wan. Oh, this is my brother's child. They didn't have time to look after him, so he's in my care for a few days. Yuan Wan casually explained a bit then lowered her gaze to gently say to the little fella, Tang Tang, greet them. The little fella raised his head. Hello Gaji. Hi. Luo Chen replied back with a smile. He had never seen such a beautiful child before. The child looked like he came straight out of a painting. Chapter 957. Nietang Xiao cocked his small head, sizing up the youth in front of him. Most beloved darling? Could it be this person? Could it be that I was created by him and mommy? This person was truly groomed by Yuan Wan. His potential wasn't bad and his attitude was great. Even though he was already an A-lister with countless fans, he didn't put on any airs. After finding out this was the child of Yuan Wan's brother, Luo Chen chatted even more fondly with Nietang Xiao and gave him candy. Nietang Xiao held the candy and looked at his mommy then at Luo Chen. The pair acted very familiar and in sync with one another as they discussed their work and scripts. He fell into deep thought. At that moment, another pair of footsteps came from outside the door. It was a person wearing an elegantly retro and white, plaid suit. He was carrying a bouquet of gorgeous lavender baby's breath as he walked in. Behind him were his assistant and a man who appeared to be his manager. His assistant and manager were also carrying similar gifts and fresh flowers in their hands. The person gave off a different vibe than Luo Chen. He exuded a warm feeling of familiarity and made Nietang Xiao feel inspired. When Yuan Wan saw this incoming person, she greeted him with a bit of shock. Xianyu, you're already finished? This quickly? The reporters actually let him get away so quickly? Han Xianyu smiled slightly as he walked over. It's finished. Thankfully Gong Su was there. When he finished speaking, he handed the bouquet in his hands to her. Yi Wanwan glanced at the bouquet before her and blinked. These flowers were given to you by a fan? Han Xianyu chuckled. No, I'm giving these to you. You've worked hard. Yi Wanwan suddenly clutched her heart. She never imagined she would be flirted with. Mr. Perfect. If your fans found out, they would be so jealous of me. Mr. Perfect. Nie Tangzhao's ears perked up. Han Xianyu quietly observed the youth in front of him and replied, the fans can only see us actors who are at the front lines, but it's all right. We all know the effort and struggles you all go through. He knew that the incident involving Su Lin was irreversible, and he had already prepared for the worst. However, he never imagined that this person could once again lead them back from the dead. Ever since he met this person kept creating miracles. No matter how bright the actors shined from the outside, this person was the team's true soul and spirit. Yi Wanwan appreciated the flowers she received. No wonder the fans call you an angel. Han Xianyu is truly too warm-hearted. He thought of everything and was considerate. He always took care of those around him and made them feel warm and appreciated. Han Xianyu watched Yi Bai caressing and glancing down at the lavender bouquet in his arms. The warmth in his gaze made Han Xianyu's own heart skip a beat. He was clearly a man, yet he was more gentle than actual girls. Han Xianyu was lost in his thoughts when suddenly, he felt a piercing gaze. After glancing around, he saw that the look came from a little boy behind Yi Bai. Han Xianyu. Yi Bai, this is? Since when did he have a kid? This is Tang Tang. He's my friend's child. Yi Wanwan explained things the same way as she did before. Nie Tang Xiao stood beside his mommy, sizing up Han Xianyu. The caution he held towards him was 10 times that of when he observed Luo Chun. A type of flower. Chapter 958. Han Xianyu approached the little fella closely and greeted him. Tang Tang, right? Nice to meet you. Good Ji, nice to meet you. The little fella replied politely. Han Xianyu glanced at his manager, Fei Yang. Yang Ji, have the hotel prepare a kid's meal. Okay. Fei Yang nodded and quickly went to place the order. Yi Wanwan. Thanks. She hadn't thought of preparing a meal for Tang Tang herself. After the screening, the production team still had a company dinner. Very soon, the others were also done with their interviews. Yi Mu Fan walked in as he chatted with several workers. After entering the room, Yi Mu Fan noticed the eye-catching little boy next to Yi Wanwan. Damn! Yi Mu Fan immediately pulled Yi Wanwan to the side. This is the child you mentioned before? Yes. Damn. Why did you bring him here? Yi Mu Fan asked. Yi Wanwan replied, he just arrived in this country and isn't used to everything yet. I can't rest easy if I leave him alone at home. He's only with me for a few days. He's very obedient, so he won't affect my work. Yi Mu Fan couldn't help but start to develop a headache. That isn't the point, okay? Are you seriously viewing yourself as his real mother? Aren't you overly dedicated? Yi Wanwan. I promised I would take responsibility. Yi Mu Fan trailed off as suspicion appeared on his face. This child. Yi Wanwan. What is it? Yi Mu Fan quieted down. This child gave off the impression that he wasn't from a regular family. And why did his facial features resemble his sister so much? Yi Mu Fan couldn't help but speak out. Why do I get the feeling that this child looks like you? Yi Wanwan replied matter-of-factly. Nonsense. That's because I look like his real mom. Otherwise, his family wouldn't have asked me to impersonate her. Not far away, Nie Tangxiao was surrounded by employees who were trying to offer him candy. He glanced over at Yi Mu Fan, and his expression warmed up a bit. It was at this moment that an enthusiastic voice erupted from the door. Mina-san. I'm back. Accompanying the exhilarated voice was a silhouette of bright yellow person skipping in. Gong Su's outfit today was very hard to explain with words. The guy was wearing a pair of ripped jeans with a bright yellow fur jacket. The jacket was from a top brand that mainly designed products for the runway. Although it was very popular, not many celebrities dared to wear it. Because wearing it made them look like small yellow chickens. They would look both terrifying and plump. It would simply be a disaster. There was once a daring singer who wore it once, and as a result, he became a joke to everyone on the internet. Gongsu actually wore the yellow chicken jacket paired with an even more frightening black fishnet top underneath. But even though he was dressed like this, he exuded sexiness and seductiveness. Something rotten actually became something incredible. Ha ha yi. Aren't I a handsome and cunning chicken today? Gongsu happily swept his fringe, then like a yellow chick, he headed towards Yi Wanwan. Before he was able to reach her, Yi Wanwan blocked him with one hand. Calm down a bit. This guy is always so energetic while Luochen is too dull. Can't these two even out a little? Oh, Yi Ji, do you not love me anymore? Aren't I your most beloved darling? A certain someone began his daily whining. This literally translates to thief chicken, but figuratively means cunning and crafty. Here Gongsu is jokingly using a pun about his appearance. Chapter 959. Yi Wanwan had long become accustomed to Gongsu's daily attempts of trying to be spoiled. She believed that if she dared to say no, a certain someone would endlessly whine from dusk until dawn. So Yi Wanwan learned early on how to deal with him. Yi Wanwan sighed. Yes. Of course you are. Su darling, your makeup is off. Quickly go fix it. When Yi Wanwan stopped speaking, Nie Tangzhao's pupils dilated and his little face went pale. Ah, really? Where? As expected, Gongsu instantly stopped begging for attention now that his attention had been diverted somewhere else. Yi Wanwan let out a sigh of relief. Gongsu took out a small mirror to see his handsome reflection when he abruptly made a surprised noise. Aya, who is that little boy? Why's there a killing intent in his eyes? But not long after, Gongsu forgot his train of thought and excitedly said, Oh, he's so good-looking. So adorable. Yi, whose kid is this? Yi Wanwan. My brother's. When Gongsu heard that, his face was filled with admiration. Yi, your brother, is really lucky. What do you mean? Yi Wanwan frowned. Gongsu immediately replied. It's said that sons resemble their mothers. This little boy is so good-looking and beautiful, so his mother must be super beautiful. Yi Wanwan nodded. That makes sense, Gongsu murmured. When I have a child with little candied plum, it will definitely be even cuter than him. Yi Wanwan. You're really overthinking things, boy. Yi Wanwan's attention turned to Assistant Dong Zai and the security guard behind Gongsu. They were carrying many colorful things, so she casually asked, What are those? Gongsu instantly flew over protectively. My fans gave them to me. You can't lay your vicious hands on them. Luo Chun and Han Xianyu received flowers and letters while Gongsu received snacks and food. Yi Wanwan's expression darkened. Confiscated? No, don't. In the corner of the room, Nie Tangzhao was watching that whiny yellow chicken hugging a bunch of snacks. Inside, he felt a mix of very complicated emotions. This can't be real. Soon, it was time for the company dinner. Since everyone knew one another, everyone felt very relaxed, and they quickly began to eat happily while chatting and drinking. After Tang was full from eating, he still felt troubled. Yi Wanwan arranged for someone to take him back to the room to rest. After dinner was finished, Yi Wanwan also returned to the room, and saw that the little fella was leaning against the window with a blank expression. His small silhouette appeared very lonely, leaning against the window. He appeared as though he had just received a big blow. What's going on? Wasn't he just having fun earlier? Yi Wanwan hurriedly rushed over. Tang. The little fella instantly looked over, and his expression lit up. Mommy. Yi Wanwan rubbed the little fella's head. What is it? Are you feeling sick? The little fella didn't reply for a moment, then he finally said, Mommy, do you like the good Ji who's wearing the yellow jacket? Yi Wanwan. Do you mean Gongsu? Yi Wanwan thought about it. He was an artist who she had groomed. It was only natural that she liked him, even though Gongsu, that bastard, was a bit overbearing. He was a natural-born star, and was reliable when she needed him to be. Yi Wanwan replied, That good Ji is an artist Mommy personally groomed, so of course Mommy admires and likes him. The same goes for Luo Chen Ji and Xianyu Ji. The little fella predicted that Yi Wanwan would give this type of general reply and remained silent. Chapter 960. Why did Tang Tang suddenly ask me this question? Yi Wanwan felt it was rather strange and asked, "What is it, Tang Tang? You don't like that yellow jacket, Guji?" The little boy's expression changed several times before he finally let out a breath. No, Tang Tang likes him a lot. As long as mommy likes him, then I will like him as well. Yi Wanwan expressed her suspicion. Why does Tang Tang appear so burdened? After Gong Su finished eating, he felt bored, so he insisted on heading towards the bar. Yi Wanwan was with a child, so she couldn't go, but she suggested that they go on without her. Gong Su was naturally not willing and instead changed the destination to a KTV place. Yi Wanwan noticed Tang Tang interested in going, so they headed over together. On the top floor of the KTV, there was only one reserved room on the top floor, which was remote and private, ensuring that outsiders couldn't barge in. Inside the reserved VIP room, Gong Su was hogging the microphone while wailing like a ghost and howling like a wolf. Yi Wanwan sat to the side while peeling almonds to give Tang Tang. The little fella sat obediently next to her. No matter how loud and full of laughter the room got, he didn't complain or move from his spot. He completely defied Yi Wanwan's expectations and knowledge of the creatures known as children. Han Xianyu casually asked, "Are this child's parents very busy?" Yi Wanwan didn't reply and the corners of her lips twitched. If they were busy, that would just be mocking this child. Where on earth could there be such irresponsible parents? Both of them had abandoned this child, and went only heaven knew where. At that moment, outside the doors of the KTV, a black Kian had soundlessly parked outside. Sui hurriedly got off to open the passenger door on the opposite side. Because of his momentary carelessness, he nearly tripped. "Special Assistant Su, are you all right?" the driver asked in a panic. It's nothing. Sui wiped his sweat as he rushed over to open the door for his master. How could it be nothing? Nothing is okay. The incident this time is too severe. Even if I'm scolded afterwards, I still need to inform Miss Wanwan first. Inside the reserved room, Yi Wanwan was chatting with Han Xianyu when her phone rang. It was an incoming call from Sui. Why would Sui call me at this hour? Yi Wanwan took her phone and told Tang Tang. "Tang Tang, I'm going to take a call. Be obedient and don't go anywhere." "Nia Tang Xiao." "Okay. Go, I'll watch him for you," Han Xianyu offered. "Thank you." Thus, Yi Wanwan went outside to take the call. As she was leaving, Gong Su immediately dropped his microphone to follow Yi Wanwan. Yi, are you going to the washroom? I'll come too." Yi Wanwan was speechless. "I'm taking a call." But Gong Su still tagged along. Gong Su kept following her and asked, "Yi, how come I've never seen you use the washroom?" Yi Wanwan. Why is this bastard focusing on small things like this? Gong Su tugged on Yi Wanwan's arm. Yi, let's go together. Yi Wanwan had a headache. "I'm taking a call. Go by yourself, okay?" Right when Yi Wanwan was about to answer, she felt something was off. In the next second, she looked up and saw someone who would never come there. The man was wearing a black trench coat, and had traveled a long distance to be there. An extremely violent storm was brewing around him. The quiet hallway suddenly became pitch dark and ice cold. Chapter 961. Yi Han. Yi Wanwan rubbed her eyes, believing she must have seen things wrong. Ajio. Isn't he supposed to be out of the country? Last night, he even mentioned he would be coming back tomorrow. Yi Han's gaze was focused on Yi Wanwan's arm, which was still being held by Gong Su. Gong Su shivered. He felt goosebumps all over his body. Oh, is this Yi Ji's boyfriend? Why did he suddenly show up here? And why is he staring at me? What did I do wrong? I only grabbed her arm. How did a single look make me feel as though I'm being sliced 10,000 times? I'm only a child. I didn't do anything. Gong Su gulped and let go of Yi Wanwan's arm faster than lightning. Then he retreated 5 steps away with a swoosh. Yi Ji, your boyfriend came. Titain. I won't bother you too. After he finished speaking, he disappeared in fear for his life. Mother. That was so terrifying. I was almost scared to death. It's fine that Yi Ji likes men, but why did he have to find such a scary one? Isn't his taste too heavy? At that moment, Si Han walked over towards Yuanwan. Sui closed his eyes. He couldn't bear to watch anymore. He called too late and couldn't warn Miss Wanwan. Even after 2 lifetimes, Yuanwan had never seen Si Han looking so frightening and dangerous. He looked so mesmerizing. When Si Han was almost 3 steps away, Yuanwan pounced forward like an arrow, wrapped her arms around Si Han's neck, then passionately kissed him on the lips. "Darling, why did you come back so early? I really missed you." Si Han, Zuya. Miss Wanwan, this isn't the time for seduction. If this was the past and his master lost control of his rage, Miss Wanwan would have already begun crying, but her present state was also good. Glancing at Yi Wanwan's glittering eyes and excited expression, Sui didn't know how to react. Si Han's cold expression cracked a little. Astonishment and a bit of frustration flashed through his eyes. After a moment, the iciness started to reform. Yi Wanwan was about to speak again when her body suddenly spun. In the next second, she was pushed against the cold wall behind her. Si Han coldly gazed at her. "Is it him?" "Oh." Yi Wanwan looked dumbstruck. What did he mean by "is it him"? Si Han nearly had to use all of his self-control to suppress his rage. "Let me ask you, where were you last night?" Even though he was suppressing his anger, the violent storm in his eyes was really a cause of concern. Faced with such a gaze, Yi Wanwan felt an irrational sense of guilt. Last night? Last night. I was at home in the little house of Rose. Si Han. With who? Who were you with? When she heard this question, Yi Wanwan instantly felt more guilty. She then remembered Si Han didn't know about Tang Tang, so could there have been a misunderstanding? Damn, I thought Si Han was returning tomorrow, so I didn't tell him. I was at home. Who else could I be with besides myself? In Si Han's eyes, Yi Wanwan's guilty expression took on a different meaning. Chapter 962. Sui, who was observing from the side, was very terrified. Originally, he thought that it was all simply a misunderstanding, but now his heart was beating hard because Miss Wanwan's reaction wasn't right. It couldn't possibly be real. Si Han. Is that so? Si Han's gaze was cold as he showed his phone to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan peered at Si Han's phone and widened her eyes. This message? I didn't send it. Si Han. Naturally it wasn't you. Yi Wanwan's mind was a mess and she quickly processed the situation before finally, she seemed to realize what happened. Someone had used her phone to text Si Han. She looked at the time the text was sent. Wasn't this when I was preparing to head out this morning? The only one who could have taken my phone was Tang Tang? Damn. Yi Wanwan tried to explain. Well, Audio, let me explain. Last night I wasn't alone. I actually admitted it. Shit. What direction is this conversation heading? Sui, who was listening at the side, couldn't remain silent and do nothing. Miss Wanwan, don't half-explain things. You must have been with a girl, right? Things had already progressed so far. She definitely couldn't lie anymore. Yi Wanwan lightly coughed before continuing. It wasn't a girl. It was a boy. Last night, I slept with a boy. Suyi's chin dropped, nearly hitting the ground. Miss Wanwan, don't joke around anymore. Si Han stressed every word when he spoke. Yi Wanwan, say that one more time. Right now, Si Han's expression could practically make children cry. Who is he? Si Han glared at her. Gongsu. Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. Ha! Gongsu? How could that be possible? As Yi Wanwan thought that, a pair of footsteps came from behind them. Yi Wanwan glanced at the small silhouette that appeared behind them. Yi Wanwan quickly replied, He is the person right behind you. Si Han was speechless and stiffened up. His face went pale, then his nerves bulged out. Sui nearly passed out from fear, and rapidly turned to look over. What? The adulterer dared to appear? Si Han's gaze turned to look in the same direction as Yi Wanwan. But it was an empty space. No one's there? Cough, cough, cough. Look down. Lower your gaze a bit. Yi Wanwan coughed as she advised him. Thus, Si Han looked down, then saw the little boy standing before him. Both their gazes collided together as they looked at one another. Sui was tongue-tied as he stared at the little boy. What's happening? Could the boy Miss Wanwan mention be this little boy who seems to be 4 or 5 years old? The hallway went silent and only sounds of breathing could be heard. Nie Tangzhao's expression was more serious than ever. An eternity passed before a voice finally broke through all the silence. "Mommy!" the little boy exclaimed adorably as he looked in the direction of Yi Wanwan. His voice was like lightning that struck the stifling atmosphere. Si Yihan's pupils contracted. Sui widened his eyes. Damn it! What did the little boy just call Miss Wanwan? Emo mother? Yi Wanwan silently covered her face. Fate! Are you kidding me? Chapter 963. So Miss Wanwan slept with a child. Sui thought the crisis had finally been averted. Who knew that in the next moment, he would hear the child call Yi Wanwan mommy? This is 100 times worse than hearing Yi Wanwan slept with a man last night. How does Miss Wanwan suddenly have a son who's so big already? Sui stared at the boy who called Yi Wanwan mommy, as his brain tried to process everything. After Nie Tangzhao called out mommy, his gaze turned to the man standing beside his mommy. Between the two of them, one had an icy demeanor and eyes colored with shock while the other held a small jade-carved expression filled with deep thought and solemnity. Yi Wanwan looked at the older one then at the younger one. A thought surfaced in her brain. What was going through my mind that convinced me to agree to help nameless Nya? At that moment, the changes on Si Yihan's face caused her scalp to tingle. In this life or death situation, Yi Wanwan resolutely headed over to Tang Tang and lifted him up. She then carried him over to Si Yihan. Si Yihan looked at the girl in front of him and didn't know what she was trying to do. Yi Wanwan didn't say anything else and passed the little fella into Si Yihan's arms. Si Yihan, this is your son. Si Yihan, Nie Tangzhao Sui. What did Miss Wanwan just say? Si Yihan's iciness converted into shock and for the first time, confusion appeared on his face as he stiffly held the soft little fella in his arms. My son? Yi Wanwan quickly followed up by telling the little fella in Si Yihan's arms. Tang Tang, this is what I originally planned to tell you tomorrow, but now, I'll introduce you to him. This is your dad. The little boy in Si Yihan's arms was as shocked as Si Yihan. Their expressions were in sync. Nie Tangzhao muttered, Daddy? Yi Wanwan. Yes, correct. Si Yihan Sui, may I know what happened? In a few short minutes, there were so many twists and turns that his brain was completely fried. It's not convenient to speak here. Let's head back first then talk. Ha. Ha ha. Yi Wanwan said as she urged them along. Let's go. She didn't dare look Si Yihan directly in the eye after telling this lie. Instead, she hurried over to walk in front and disappeared like the wind. Behind her, Si Yihan was left holding a little boy. The adult and the child were both left blinking. Si Yihan looked like he had something to say, but in the end he could only continue carrying the child in his arms. This was likely the first time in Si Yihan's life that he held a child. His positioning looked awkward, and he didn't seem to know where the arms and legs were supposed to be placed. He helplessly chased after the girl who disappeared. As he did so, Si Yihan carefully changed the way he held the child, so the little fella would feel more comfortable in his arms. Meanwhile, the little fella was observing him. He didn't like being touched by others, and the way this person was holding him was very uncomfortable. He didn't feel as comfortable as when his mommy held him. But, why don't I dislike it? Si Yihan steadily moved forward with the child in his arms. Suddenly the child spoke up. Chapter 964. Nie Tangzhao. Are you really my daddy? For some reason, when the little fella asked this question, his voice sounded as though a burden had been lifted. Si Yihan. Si Yihan also wanted to know the answer to this question. After leaving the KTV, Yi Wanwan made a call to Han Xianyu to thank him for helping out, and then she let him know she had matters to attend to, so she was leaving. She also arranged for Tang Bin and Song Chong to drive the car back before entering Si Yihan's Qian. Meanwhile, inside the reserved KTV room, Han Xianyu frowned as he told the others, Yi Bai has matters to attend to, so he left first. Gong Su, who had managed to sneak back in, went pale. What, he left? Oh dear, will something bad happen to Yi Ji Ji? Han Xianyu glanced at Gong Su. What happened? Gong Su had a mournful expression as he clutched his little heart and whispered to Han Xianyu. Just now, I went out with Yi Ji and I saw Yi Ji's boyfriend. Yi Bai's boyfriend? Han Xianyu murmured. Gong Su nodded. Yeah, I don't know where he suddenly came from, but he was really scary when he looked at me. He looked ready to kill. I was nearly scared to death. Han Xianyu, what exactly did you do? Gong Su instantly became mad. What do you mean, what did I do? I clearly didn't do anything, okay? Why are you looking at me like I'm a homewrecker? I only grabbed Yi Ji's arm a bit. Can I not at least do that? After saying it aloud, he still felt a bit worried. Xianyu Ji, you don't understand. That man's expression was so terrifying. He looked like he was about to mass murder everyone. Will Yi Ji really be alright? Han Xianyu appeared uneasy. However, this was a matter between a couple. It was best for outsiders not to get involved, otherwise the situation would only get messier. Han Xianyu let out a helpless sigh. You know Yi Bai's situation is special. You should keep some distance from him. Gong Su replied, depressed. Keep what distance? Even if Yi Ji likes men, he's not interested in me at all. Han Xianyu. At least he has some self-awareness. He really hoped Yi Bai was going to be okay. He had a feeling that man wasn't simple at all. On the other side of the KTV building, after Yi Wanwan entered the car, she took out her phone and quickly sent a text to Si Yi-han. Once Si Yi-han reached the car, he opened the door and placed the little fella inside. As he stood outside the car and was about to get in himself, his phone beeped to inform him of a text. He opened it, and it was a text sent from Yi Wanwan. Audio, later, no matter what I say, please work with me. Please, please. After viewing the message, Si Yi-han frowned. Yi Wanwan saw Si Yi-han's expression through the window and grinded her teeth as she continued texting. Darling, can't you do this? Si Yi-han still didn't respond. Thus, Yi Wanwan continued texting. Baby, will you do it? Beloved darling, I'm begging you. Hubby, hubby, hubby. After sending the fourth text, Yi Wanwan finally received a reply. Most beloved darling, fine. Yi Wanwan felt so relieved. After Si Yi-han got into the car steadily began to move. The driver sat in the front with Su Yi while Yi Wanwan, Nie Tang Xiao, and Si Yi-han all sat in the back. The atmosphere inside the car was very strange. Chapter 965. 965. Yi Wanwan didn't speak while the other two sitting beside her also didn't speak up. In the end, silence filled the car. The adult and child pair were both comfortable with silence. In the end, no one spoke up throughout the entire journey. The car finally reached the little house of Rose. Sui got out of the car and with heavy steps, he opened the passenger door, then glanced at the three people before him. His master was standing with Miss Wanwan and the little boy. It was hard to believe, but the picture before him was very pleasing to the eye and even gave him the impression that they were a lovely family of three. A family of three? When he became aware of his thoughts, Sui suddenly became very scared. I must be going crazy. This little boy seemed to be about 4 or 5 years old. And Miss Wanwan was 20 this year. If this child was really Miss Wanwan's, wouldn't that mean Miss Wanwan got pregnant while she was still underage? If that was the case, his master was such a beast. That was impossible. It was absolutely impossible. How could he have such frightening thoughts? But the child personally called Miss Wanwan mommy, and Miss Wanwan personally said the child was 9th master's. What's going on here? Where did this child come from? Sui asked Tang Bin and Song Chong, who were following them in the back. The duo were very in sync as they shook their heads. If this question had to be asked, the question should be directed to the child's father, no? After returning home, Yi Wanwan couldn't hide it anymore. Si Yi-han sat on the sofa, while Yi Wanwan brought Nie Tang Xiao opposite him, and shamelessly reintroduced them. It was a bit rushed earlier, but let me officially introduce you both. Tang Tang, this is your daddy. After hearing Yi Wanwan's official introduction, the little fella raised his head and looked at Si Yi-han. Si Yi-han had no visible reaction. Yi Wanwan hurriedly hinted to Si Yi-han, and begged him with her eyes. You said you would work with him. Don't just stay silent. Thus, under coercion from Yi Wanwan, Si Yihan finally looked at the little fella and said, "Nice to meet you. My name is Si Yihan, and I'm your father." Yi Wanwan's jaw nearly dropped to the floor. Why does this opening line sound so familiar? It's practically the same as what Tang Tang said when he first introduced himself to me. Dang. I'm about to suspect that the little fella is actually my illegitimate child with Si Yihan. After Si Yihan finished speaking, Yi Wanwan nervously glanced to see Tang Tang's reaction. The little fella pressed his lips together and after a while he said, "Mommy." Yi Wanwan immediately replied, "Mommy's here. Does Tang Tang have any questions?" "Nia Tang Xiao. Mommy, you're sure he's my daddy? Is there nobody else?" "Si Yihan." "Yi Wanwan. He's asking." Yi Wanwan replied confidently, "Of course. Your mommy has only ever loved one person in my life, and that's your daddy. So of course you could only be born from me and your daddy." After she finished speaking, she didn't forget to glance at Si Yihan. However, Tang Tang still didn't look like he believed her completely. "But mommy, uncle said you liked a lot of people before." Yi Wanwan nearly choked to death on her own saliva. Damn. Nameless Nyat, that bastard. How could he make a trap for his own sister? Chapter 966. His own sister disappeared and avoided this disaster, and as a result, I'm the one who took the fall. Yi Wanwan sensed Si Yihan's gaze on her, and she nearly cried as she hurriedly sent him messages with her eyes. "Baby, calm down. With your intelligence, you should clearly realize that this child has nothing to do with me. The person who likes a lot of people also isn't me." Yi Wanwan could only bitterly explain. "Tang Tang, you're still young and there are still many things you don't understand. A person liking a lot of people in their youth is very normal." Yi Wanwan was still explaining to Tang Tang when she suddenly sensed Si Yihan's frozen gaze, and she could only weakly ask, "What is it? Did I say something wrong?" Si Yihan sat back on the sofa and looked at her as he expressionlessly replied, "I've only ever liked you." Yi Wanwan. Never did she imagine that Si Yihan would try to ruin her act. He said he would work with her. But why do I feel happy that he did so? Yi Wanwan used up all her brain juice to reply back. That means you're very lucky. I had it worse since I had to go through so many experiences of suffering and bitterness before I could finally find you. Si Yihan. Nia Tang Xiao. Yi Wanwan then continued on. "Tang Tang, all you need to know is that you're the result of mommy and daddy's love. You are daddy and mommy's most precious treasure." The little fellow was speechless, but he finally nodded. Yi Wanwan had been nervous for the majority of the day, but now she had temporarily succeeded in appeasing Nia Tang Xiao. She then took the little fella upstairs to wash up and put him to bed early. She had barely been able to deal with the child, but the adult was even trickier. After Tang Tang left, Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan were left alone in the living room. Si Yihan, explain. Yi Wanwan. Explaining will take a long time. Si Yihan. Then shorten it. Yi Wanwan. All right. Yi Wanwan didn't have any other option and could only tell him the most crucial points. After she finished explaining, she faced Si Yihan's expression that read, "You really expect me to believe you?" Even Yi Mufan found the explanation ridiculous, much less Si Yihan. But that was the truth. Yi Wanwan angrily huffed. "I know things sound a bit far-fetched, but that's the truth. What kind of eyes are you looking at me with? Do you think I'm lying to you? You don't really think this child is my illegitimate son, right?" When Si Yihan heard the words illegitimate son, an abyss formed in his obscure eyes. Yi Wanwan angrily continued, "Please, if you think about it, you know it's impossible. I'm still a baby myself. I'm only 20, so how could I have such an old kid? Why don't you think about how this could be your illegitimate child? His personality, expression, attitude, and even his tone is exactly the same as yours." Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan likely sensed she went overboard and quickly changed direction. "Audio, don't be mad anymore. Tang Tang looks like me and acts like you. Just pretend he's our child and we'll take care of him for a few days, alright?" The corners of Si Yihan's lips curved upwards. Yi Wanwan tugged on his arm. "Audio, this child is really pitiful. His mommy abandoned him and no one even knows who his daddy is. He's been with his grandparents since he was young, and he's been looking for his birth parents the past few years, but he still hasn't found them. To be honest, I didn't want you to pretend to be his daddy at first. Han stared at her. Who did you want to act as his dad? Chapter 967. 967. After Yi Wanwan noticed the dangerous intent in a certain someone's gaze, her expression darkened a little. Are you kidding me? Using you is not alright, and not using you is also not alright. Living is just too hard. No, that's not it. The first person I thought of was you. Of course I wanted my boyfriend to help with this kind of thing, but I was just worried you wouldn't believe me like earlier. Yi Wanwan tried to explain herself, and for some reason, Han couldn't seem to focus, and just looked at her in a daze. Yi Wanwan got goosebumps from being stared at like this. Why are you looking at me like that? Han seemed to have realized the reason, but he felt like it was impossible. He furrowed his brows as he calmed down. It's nothing. Under his breath he muttered subconsciously. You couldn't have. Huh? Yi Wanwan was confused and hadn't heard what Han said. I couldn't have done what? Don't talk about these things. We haven't seen each other for so long. Don't you miss me? Yi Wanwan gazed at a certain someone, trying to captivate him with her looks. Right as she was about to get intimate with absence makes the heart grow fonder, as her excuse, footsteps rang out from behind them. Mommy. Yi Wanwan instantly straightened up. Cough, Tang Tang, you finish washing up? Mommy will come sleep with you in a bit. Tang Xiao. In. Han, who had shortened his trip with much difficulty and had to spend the night in his room alone. Yi Wanwan. Tang Tang is still young. Sleeping alone can be really scary. Han. No matter what happened in the past, she always rushed to sleep with him periodically. Yi Wanwan glanced at the adult, then the child. Her head was spinning, and finally, she came up with a solution. How about we all sleep together? I'm really too smart. Han. Tang Xiao. The adult and the child glanced at each other and agreed silently. In the end, the three slept together on the same bed. To create the image of being a family of three, Yi Wanwan placed the little fella between her and Han. Yi Wanwan. Tang Tang, do you want mommy to tell you a bedtime story? Tang Xiao. Yes. Yi Wanwan. What does Tang Tang want to hear? Tang Xiao. The story mommy told yesterday night. Han. Wanwan had also put him to sleep that way before. Yi Wanwan nodded. Ho ho ho, the story from yesterday night? So Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf? All right. Yi Wanwan lightly coughed, then began her story. Long ago, there was an adorable young maiden. Anyone who saw her loved her, and the one who loved her the most was her maternal grandmother. One time, her grandmother gave the young maiden a velvet little red hood. From then on, the young maiden refused to wear any other hood, and thus, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood didn't know the wolf was a bad guy, and because of this, she told the wolf that she was going to the forest to visit her grandmother. The wolf began to scheme in his heart. This little thing is young and tender. She must taste better than that old hag. I need to come up with a plan so they're both unable to escape from my grasp. When Han heard that, he looked at Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan hadn't noticed Han's gaze and continued. Grandma, why's your mouth so big and scary? Little Red Riding Hood asked. The better to eat you with. Once the wolf replied, he jumped from the bed and swallowed Little Red Riding Hood into his stomach. Han. Yi Wanwan told the story twice, and finally, the little fella fell asleep. After letting out a sigh of relief, she finally noticed Han's mixed gaze. What is it? Han. It's not the same. Yi Wanwan. What's not the same? Han. The version you told me is not the same. Chapter 968. 968. Not the same? Of course they're not the same. The one I told Han before was something I blurted out to flirt with him. Yi Wanwan suddenly coughed. Cough cough cough. The one I told Tang Tang was the normal version. The one I told you was an amazing version because it was my own special creation. It's one of a kind. Han. Little Red Riding Hood eating the big bad wolf was pretty special. The little fella was like a furry animal, when he moved a bit and snuggled right into Yi Wanwan's arms. His little hand tightly clung onto her sleeve as he slept peacefully. Yi Wanwan was stunned by his cuteness. Ah, so adorable. Si Yihan, look, isn't he so cute and adorable? In order to make Si Yihan accept Tang Tang, Yi Wanwan directly entered frenetic advertising mode and carefully handed the little fella over to Si Yihan. After the little fella was shifted into a different position, he frowned but quickly went back to sleep. Si Yihan relaxed as he looked at the little fella in his arms. It was hard to verbally explain the feelings that erupted from suddenly having this little boy beside him. So cute, so adorable. Ah, such an obedient and understanding child. When I saw this child before, I even thought that such a lovable little boy could only exist if we combined our genes. Say, how could his parents bear to abandon him? Yi Wanwan sighed. When Yi Wanwan said, such a lovable little boy could only exist if we combined our genes, Si Yihan observed the little fella beside him, but made no indication of whether he agreed or not. Si Yihan, who came to you for help? Yi Wanwan's social network wasn't big, and the few people she knew were incapable of this. Yi Wanwan's heart went sour. An idiot. But I must be even more stupid because I actually agreed to help him. Didn't I mention to you before how I found several temporary actors who could fight fairly well to act as soldiers saved by the Black Widow? I owed them a favor, so I reluctantly agreed to help. Si Yihan's expression turned ugly. This girl used to be afraid of everything. Merely seeing blood was enough to send her into shock, but now her guts were growing bigger than ever. It all started to change during the incident when they were in Country B. Back then, her methods of handling and dealing with matters changed. Day after day, she was changing, and now, she even adopted a child. Fortunately, he encountered even more astonishing events before, and this was a seemingly small matter in comparison. Yi Wanwan continued to speak. Consider you being his daddy as a bonus that I'm giving him. When his real parents come back, I'll consider my work done and leave. But right now, let's view this as practice. Practice. Si Yihan's expression darkened slightly. Late at night, Yi Wanwan and the little fellow were both sleeping. The two of them were letting out peaceful breaths on this quiet night. Si Yihan silently observed them as they blissfully slept. There was going to be a day when they had their own child. At that moment, his cell phone vibrated. Si Yihan got up lightly and took his phone to the balcony. Hello. Master, Si Mingli and his people escaped overseas. We had some people following them, but once they reached Europe, we suddenly lost sight of them. Si Mingli must have some other power backing him up. Chapter 969. Si Yihan's expression didn't change. It was as though he already expected this. If Si Mingli was working alone, he wouldn't have the balls nor would he have the capability to gather forces overseas. The person on the phone continued reporting. The person who saved Wanwan didn't come up as anything suspicious in our investigation. He should be the backup to Miss Wanwan's mercenaries. Master, what should we do about Si Mingli? The person on the phone awaited orders. Si Yihan went silent, then finally said, help me investigate a person. After hanging up, Si Yihan quietly stood beneath the night sky, his expression continuously changing. Before he returned to China, the Si family's internal department was a mess with endless disputes and infighting between branches. But even with the Si family's complicated branches, there was still the old madam and second elder Si Mingrong to keep everything stabilized. They weren't at the point where the Si family was about to fall into ruin. In the shadows, there was definitely someone scheming, and this person was very familiar with the Si family. That was why, even though they never made an appearance themselves, they could use borrowed power to strike and cause the Si family's internal department to fight amongst themselves. Then they could reap the rewards without doing anything. This person's aim definitely wasn't to help Si Mingli achieve power, but rather to get benefits in the process, then eventually win over the entire Si family. If Si Yihan hadn't come back in time to take charge, the Si family would have likely become non-existent. After he returned to the Si family, the entire Si family became an impregnable fortress that no one could even touch, so they ended up using Si family's future mistress as an excuse to stir up controversy. This person must have a large connection to the Si family. And it was even possible that they could be hiding in the C family's internal department. The next morning, when Yi Wanwan opened her eyes, she could see Tang Tang beside her and see Yi Han, who was on the far side of the bed. This adult and child duo. It's practically a feast for the eyes. If she really had such a handsome husband and son, she would definitely wake up from laughing about her own dream. Yi Wanwan was continuing to admire the beautiful scene when her phone began to ring. Nameless Nia, famous Yi. Is Tang Tang doing all right over there? Begging for a picture. Yi Wanwan. What did you say? The wind is too loud. I didn't hear anything. Nameless Nia. He clearly sent a text message, right? Nameless Nia automatically sent a red pocket over. Yi Wanwan happily opened the red pocket and realized her mood today wasn't bad. So she took her phone and casually took a photo of Tang Tang for Nameless Nia. In the picture, the early morning sunlight was shining through the window onto Tang Tang, who was sleeping blissfully in his furry cartoon pajamas. His little head was leaning into Si Yi Han's arms and to the side. Yi Wanwan was taking a selfie with one hand while poking the little fella's dimple with the other. The photo was quickly sent over and Nameless Nia giggled as he saved it. He really admired Yi Wanwan, who dared to poke the little devil's face. But after looking at the photo in more detail, Nameless Nia thought something was strange. The person sleeping beside Tang Tang doesn't appear to be Yi Wanwan? Nameless Nia, damn. Who's the man beside Tang Tang? Although Yi Wanwan hadn't captured Si Yi Han's face, Nameless Nia could naturally see that someone was sleeping beside Tang Tang, and from the body shape, he could tell it was a man. Yi Wanwan, bullshit. Who could it be besides Tang Tang's daddy? Nameless Nia. Huh? Tang Tang's daddy? Nameless Nia stared at his phone for a while before he finally replied back. Nameless Nia. Where did you find him? How much per day? Yi Wanwan. How much your head? This is my man. He's not an actor. Chapter 970. 970 Nameless Nia. Tang Tang believed you? Yi Wanwan, of course. You think he's as stupid as you? Nameless Nia. Famous Yi. You're really too reliable. You're so much more reliable than my sister who ran away from home, and that brother-in-law, who doesn't even know he has a son. Yi Wanwan was speechless. Let's not talk about anyone else, okay? Your whole family isn't reliable. After finishing up on Weixin, Yi Wanwan decidedly changed Nameless Nia's nickname to Nia Hollow Pit. Meanwhile, inside an underground bar in a town in northern Europe, Nameless Nia was looking at Tang Tang's photo. After seeing that the little fella had adjusted well, he could finally let out a breath of relief. It was mainly because he received another life-saving pass. Nameless Nia immediately emailed the photo over to his father. After he sent the photo, his phone began to ring. His family personally added him on WeChat. Nameless Nia was so scared that his hand trembled. He quickly clicked accept. After his WeChat account was blocked, he hadn't been re-added, but now, the Empress Dowager herself added him back. Nameless Nia, Mom, did you see? Tang Tang is doing well over there. He's eating well and sleeping well. I told you the person I found was really reliable. That couple is really nice. Nameless Nia worked hard to type that out. After what seemed to be forever, there was finally a reply. Do you have a picture of that girl? When Nameless Nia saw his mother's reply, he was dumbfounded. She wants Yi Wanwan's picture? Nameless Nia thought about it and decided to ask, Mom, what do you need Miss Ye's photo for? Afterwards, Nameless Nia's phone rang, and it was his family's Empress Dowager calling. He couldn't help but feel overwhelmed as he answered. Nameless Nia carefully answered the call. Hello, Mom, what is it? Don't you feel like she really resembles our worryless? The person on the phone spoke in a haggard tone. Nameless Nia felt speechless but replied, There's a small resemblance. When I saw her for the first time, I couldn't help looking at her a few more times, but if I'm honest, aside from being prettier than our worryless, she's not like her at all. Furthermore, Mom, I investigated this already. She's the second miss of the Yi family in Imperial City. She has parents and an older brother. She even has a decent boyfriend, so she can't be worryless. Naturally, he also hoped to find worryless, but he couldn't possibly just find a random person on the street who looked like his sister then pretend she was his sister. The phone went silent, then Madame Nia started to speak. Help me thank her for taking care of Tang Tang. Nameless Nia. I will. Mom, don't worry. Little sis has always run around everywhere since she was young. She never gets the short end of the stick, so she might just be having fun somewhere, and when she's had enough, she'll come back. Madame Nia let out a sigh to cover her uneasiness. Let's hope that's the case. China, Little Rose Garden. The little fella slowly opened his eyes to find himself trapped inside a stiff embrace. It wasn't the same as his mommy's and was more spacious. Perhaps it was because Si Yihan sensed the movement in his arms that he soon woke up. You're both awake. Yi Wanwan, who woke up earlier, happily said, Baby, good morning. After Yi Wanwan finished saying good morning, she suddenly sensed that the originally quiet atmosphere had begun to tense up. The little boy and Si Yihan, who had both just woken up, were both calmly staring at her. Chapter 971. 971. Yi Wanwan, who had finished saying good morning, suddenly felt dumbstruck, because the adult and child pair were both staring intently at her. It was evident Tang Tang was definitely a baby, but her nickname for Si Yihan was also baby. Yi Wanwan first looked at the little milk bun who had woken up. Oh, baby is so cute. I really can't resist. Yi Wanwan then glanced at Si Yihan. Goddamn. A beauty who just woke up is simply too deadly. The main point here was that the pair both seemed to care about who just referred to. It's just a name. Do they have to be like this? Why are they so similar even when it comes to a matter like this? After a battle ended inside her mind, Yi Wanwan decided to look at the cute little milk bun and gently tousled the little fella's hair. She said, Baby, good morning. Did you sleep well last night? The little fella instantly brightened up like a sunflower. His eyes filled with happiness. The little fella nuzzled his head against Yi Wanwan's hand, then nodded. Yes. Tang Tang slept really well. Mommy, good morning. Si Yihan, who watched Yi Wanwan choose the little milk bun without hesitation, was speechless. Right now, his greatest happiness was that this child wasn't theirs. Yesterday, his thoughts about creating a family of 3 were currently being reassessed. Baby, do you need mommy to help you dress? Yi Wanwan warmly asked. The little fella seemed to want to reject her offer and say he could dress himself, but after thinking about it, he nodded. Yi Wanwan. Oh right, today you can wear the new clothes mommy bought for you. The little fella obediently agreed. Okay. Yi Wanwan had bought countless new clothes for Tang Tang. There were even several parent-child matching sets, so she excitedly took one of them out. The smaller version was jeans paired with a white t-shirt. On the t-shirt was a cute pink cartoon pig. Quickly come over, mommy will help you put it on. The little fella looked at the matching female version. Is mommy also going to wear it with me? Yi Wanwan laughed. Of course mommy will also wear it. The little fella revealed a small smile, and cute dimples also appeared on his flushed cheeks. Waking up early in the morning, and the mother-son duo painted a warm and lovely picture. As for the completely forgotten Si Yihan, he had pretty much witnessed what would happen in the future if they were to have children. Okay. First, go wash up, then we'll have breakfast downstairs. Yi Wanwan helped the little fella put on his clothes. The little fella felt uneasy the day before, but now he had completely recovered. His expression was filled with joy as he went to wash up before heading downstairs. After Tang Tang left, Yi Wanwan lightly coughed and looked at Si Yihan. Cough. Audio. She didn't need to guess to know what Si Yihan's expression looked like right now. As the king of jealousy in East Asia, Si Yihan could even be jealous of a tiger, much less a live person. But because the target was his own son, so he resisted. Si Yihan, who had been banished into the cold palace, was now sitting on the bed, calmly observing her. Is something the matter? Yi Wanwan didn't know whether to cry or laugh when she saw the great devil's tsundere expression. Yi Wanwan sighed, then went over to him and leaned in to tenderly kiss him on the lips. She then softly whispered, Hubby, good morning. In ancient China, whenever the concubines or even the empress committed sins which didn't warrant the death penalty, they were typically sent into the cold palace where they were to live a life of solitude and repentance. In a modern context, this term usually refers to a person being ignored or forgotten. Chapter 972. Her warm voice that whispered, "Hubby," beside his ear made Si Yihan freeze. In the next second, a broad hand pressed against the back of the girl's head, and he deepened their kiss. The little fox Yuanwan let out a light laugh. "Now that we already have a baby, my pet name for you will also have to evolve. Are you happy with this new nickname?" Si Yihan's reply was biting her lip, using his actions to answer her question. Yuanwan suddenly thought of something and excitedly got up. "Ah, that's right. The parent-child sets came in threes. There's Tongtong's, mine, and also yours. We can look like a family of three by wearing the set together." A family of three? Si Yihan. Yuanwan was pretty professional. She clearly hated anything that was troublesome, and she also didn't like interacting with children. He never would have imagined that she could actually handle a child this well. It was likely only a temporary new interest. The majority of the reason for her interest in the child was probably his good looks. Yuanwan first turned around to change, then handed Si Yihan's clothes to him. Yuanwan was wearing overalls made with the same material as the jeans Tangtang was wearing. Inside the overalls, she was wearing the same t-shirt with the pink cartoon pig. She looked like a high schooler. Ajio quickly put it on too. A family needs to be complete and together. Yuanwan excitedly pressured him. Si Yihan looked at the t-shirt in his hands with the pink cartoon pig. Evidently, a certain someone had never worn something so childish in his entire life. Yuanwan. "Hubby? Hubby?" Si Yihan. And, after some time, Yuanwan and Si Yihan headed downstairs after they finished changing. When the group of five who were in hiding saw the matching family of three, they were speechless. Black Widow, who was known to have countless male pets, and Si Yihan, who was the rumored demon family head who was disinterested in women, were actually wearing a childish parent-child matching set of clothing with their son. This scene, if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, was something they never could have imagined. Naturally, there was someone who was even more shocked than the group of five. Sui, who had been worrying all night that something would happen to his master, hadn't left the little rose garden, and had been awake and on call all night. He finally managed to wait it out until daylight, and as a result, he witnessed this miraculous picture. What was this situation? Yuanwan noticed Sui, who was in the living room, and said with surprise, "Huh. Housekeeper Su, you're still here." "Sui, I was always here, okay? Such a frightening situation happened last night. How could I have just left?" Yuanwan saw Suyi's expression and realized that things yesterday happened in a rush. She hadn't explained things to him clearly, so she went over and whispered everything to him. "Sui, what? I worried all night, but the truth is that they're just taking care of someone else's child, pretending to be real parents." Even if he had a wild imagination, he never would have thought of this possibility. He could only admit defeat. Running to claim a child. How could his master so easily accept this? Sui dumbfoundedly looked at his master. He saw an adult and child duo wearing matching clothes, facing each other at the dinner table. Si Yihan was casually eating his breakfast as he gave the little fella a poached egg. They seemed so accustomed to everything. So from beginning to end, the only one who was a mess was himself. Chapter 973. 973. After Yuanwan explained everything to Sui, she happily went over to eat breakfast. Yuanwan watched as Si Yihan got some food for Tangtang. Although Tangtang didn't treat Si Yihan like they were close, he also didn't reject Si Yihan, and even gratefully said thank you. Everything was even better than Yuanwan imagined, so she felt very relieved. Today, Si Yihan didn't have to go to work while Yuanwan was on break. According to the rules Yuanwan set before, as long as both parties had time, they had to go on a date at least once a week. But today, it seemed as though there would be another person tagging along. Yuanwan blinked at Si Yihan. Si Yihan, who perceived her stare, said nothing. "Please. Hubby." Yuanwan clearly mouthed the new pet name. Si Yihan expressed his helplessness towards wanting to spoil her as he looked at the little fella and asked, "Where do you want to go play?" The little fella didn't say anything and seemed to relax a bit when he looked up. "Play?" Yuanwan immediately replied, "That's right. Today, Daddy and Mommy are free and can take you out to play." "Baby, Where do you want to go? The zoo? The amusement park? Or do you want to go hiking? Anywhere you want to go is a possibility. Regarding this question, if he were any other child, he would have already happily replied back with what he wanted to do. However, Tang Tang seemed to have never thought about this, much less know how to interact with his parents, so he appeared vacant. When Yi Wanwan saw this, she felt her heart ache and she quickly continued. How about you let mommy decide? Let's go to the amusement park, okay? The little fella instantly nodded. Okay. Yi Wanwan smiled. Then it's decided. After breakfast, we'll set out. After breakfast, the family of 3 drove towards the biggest amusement park in Imperial City. Today, the trio's matching cartoon outfits were very appropriate for being at this type of setting. Yi Wanwan was holding hands with the little fella. Tang Tang, there's a lot of people here, so hold on to daddy's and mommy's hands. The little fella peered at the tall man beside him. Si Han gazed back and held out his hand. The little fella hesitated, but in the end, he reached out as well and held hands with Si Han. They had only arrived at the entrance when Yi Wanwan saw the beautiful cotton candy. Whoa. Whoa. Audio. Ever since Si Han started going on dates with Yi Wanwan, he had eventually improved in his understanding of social interactions. Before, he didn't know anything about it. He had Sui arrange some cash earlier, and Yi Wanwan didn't need to ask before he knowingly took out his wallet to pay. How many do you want? Yi Wanwan. It's so large, so one is enough. A very colorful heart-shaped piece of cotton candy was quickly prepared for them. Come Tang Tang, try it. Yi Wanwan placed the cotton candy in front of Tang Tang. Tang Tang stared at the colorful unknown object with mixed feelings and tilted his head in curiosity. This is edible? Si Han expressionlessly explained to his son. Yes, it's cotton candy. Yi Wanwan observed this father-son duo and couldn't help but laugh. Didn't Si Han not know what cotton candy was in the beginning? Yet now he's even teaching his son. Yi Wanwan looked at Tang Tang. That's right, it's cotton candy and it's delicious. Try it. The little fella carefully took a bite and immediately brightened up as it melted in his mouth. It was sweet. Chapter 974. 974. The adult and child pair both didn't know how to have fun. Luckily, Wanwan was there. Wow. We're actually so lucky. There's a parade today. There's also a fireworks show. Whoa. That headband is so cute. I have to buy it. Whoa. That lollipop looks delicious. I have to buy it. I also want that balloon. Yi Wanwan was even more excited than a child, skipping as she dragged the adult and child pair everywhere with her. She nearly bought one of everything that was available for sale. Si Han diligently hovered behind, guarding the mother-son pair from the crowd unless he had to go to the front to pay for Yi Wanwan's purchases. After a short while, Tong Tong's hands were stuffed with Yi Wanwan's items. In his left hand was a gigantic rainbow lollipop, and in his right was a balloon. On his head he wore cat ears and around his neck he wore a beautiful flower wreath. Yi Wanwan and Si Han also had the same flower wreaths around their necks, but Yi Wanwan was wearing bunny ears while Si Han was wearing wolf ears and a black mask Yi Wanwan made him wear. They passed by a photo booth and Yi Wanwan dragged the father-son pair to take photos. They were such priceless treasures. Yi Wanwan laughed as she went through them several times before handing them over to Tang Tang. Here, Tang Tang, you take care of them. The little fella carefully accepted them, treating the photos like precious baubles as he looked at them with his big eyes. And night quickly arrived and the flower parade begun. There were more and more people present, and it was becoming more crowded. Excited voices were building up in the surrounding area. Tang Tang was so small so his field of vision was quickly blocked by many people. Si Han glanced at the mother-son pair and handed his snacks to Yi Wanwan. Hold these. Ha. Oh, Yi Wanwan took the snacks. Afterwards, Yi Wanwan saw Si Han bending down. With one arm, he picked up Tang Tang and with his other arm, he pulled Yi Wanwan into his embrace, separating them from the crowd. Yi Wanwan blinked. She felt her heart beating like crazy. Si Han actually appeared so much more handsome than usual when he picked up Tang Tang. Originally, it was hard for her to imagine what having a child with Si Han would be like, but now, She felt that if Si Yihan really became a father, he would be pretty gentle. The sun was setting slowly, and their trip to the amusement park was coming to an end. The crowd dispersed as people left. Yi Wanwan ran off to buy a souvenir as Si Yihan waited in place while holding Tang Tang. When it was time to go, Yi Wanwan watched the father-son pair, and couldn't help taking out her phone to capture the moment. It was nighttime now, and Si Yihan booked a reservation at a restaurant known for their private home cuisine. So the family of three left the amusement park and directly headed to the restaurant. The family of three was still wearing the same outfits from the amusement park. They had the matching outfits on and were carrying animal headbands, candy, and souvenir gifts. This private home cuisine restaurant was very famous in Imperial City. Each day, they only served 10 tables, and if the average person wanted to eat a meal there, they had to book a reservation months in advance. Yi Wanwan, Tang Tang, and Si Yihan were heading towards the restaurant when they ran into several familiar faces. Lin Ke was chatting with Xie Zhizhi when he noticed the three of them. He felt as though someone had pressed his acupuncture points and stood there, dumbfounded as he stared at Si Yihan. What did I just see? Xie Zhizhi observed Si Yihan with interest as he looked at the printed pink pig on his clothes. Then he glanced at the little milk bun holding Yi Wanwan's hand. He lightly laughed and then said, we just witnessed a miracle. Chapter 975. 975. Lin Ke felt as though he had been hit by lightning. Then he incredulously asked, did I transmigrate to the future? Or did I fall into a parallel dimension? Why does ninth brother have a son? This can't be right. That's not my ninth brother. How could my ninth brother be dressed like this, with that thing on his clothes? Yi Wanwan abruptly raised her hand to reply. That's a little pig. It's a little pig. Damn it, that's not the point, okay? Lin Ke felt even more confused. Yi Wanwan laughed as she waved to greet the two of them. I haven't seen you two in a while. Xie Zhizhi meaningfully swept his eyes over the three of them. It really has been a while. Considering you two even have a child now. Yi Wanwan's brows twitched as she processed his words. She really hadn't seen Lin Ke for a long time. As for Xie Zhizhi, she very recently saw him when Si Mingli locked her up in the dark chamber. The Si Yihan in her previous life had always been a lone wolf without any friends, and he didn't trust anyone, not even Su Yi. The only exceptions were Lin Ke and Xie Zhizhi, who visited Jing Garden in the past, but they only showed up a few times. She assumed they were only acquaintances from work, rather plastic friendships. Especially Xie Zhizhi, who was an artist from the entertainment industry and viewed himself as a gift from heaven for all girls on earth. No matter how she looked at him, he was too incompatible with Si Yihan for any kind of lasting friendship. Lin Ke was too lacking and would die without gossip, but he was versatile when it came to making connections everywhere. If Si Yihan and Lin Ke were close, at least that would make more sense. However, the one who came to her rescue was actually the unlikely Xie Zhizhi. Lin Ke was speechless. Please, no matter how long it's been since we've seen each other, you still couldn't have given birth to such a big child. Yi Wanwan, what are you playing at? Where did you steal this child from? When Nie Tangxiao heard Lin Ke's words, his small face instantly darkened. Yi Wanwan instantly glared at Lin Quebec. Lin clueless, you're the one who stole a child. I gave birth to this child, all right. Lin Ke widened his dog eyes, his face full of disbelief. You gave birth? Yi Wanwan harumphed. That's right. I gave birth myself. What about it? I had him with Audiobook. The corners of Lin Ke's lips twitched. You're kidding me, right? Yi Wanwan continued. Look at him. Besides Audiobook, who else could I have a child with who could produce a child this cute? You dare say he's not my child? Lin Ke carefully observed the little milk bun who was holding both their hands. You all really look like a family. The more Lin Ke said it aloud, the stranger he felt. Damn. This can't be right. Yi Wanwan, that brat is how old? Isn't she 20 this year? Lin Ke suddenly felt speechless. You're still young. If you gave birth to him, then my ninth brother is a beast. Yi Wanwan murmured. Then there can only be one truth. Lin Ke. What? Yi Wanwan. Your ninth brother really is very beastly. In order to continue her act, She had to make Si Yi-han suffer a bit. Si Yi-han, Lin K. Lin K was speechless for a while. I call bullshit. If anyone hears a beast, it has to be you. Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes at him. Is there a difference? I still had a child with Audiobook. Chapter 976. Lin K's eyes glittered as he looked towards Si Yi-han. Ninth brother, I want to share a table. It's such a coincidence that we ran into each other, so how about we eat together? Yi Wanwan. Likely, their fake excuse of wanting to share a table was a cover-up for wanting to pry into their lives. Lin K's eyes already betrayed him. Si Yi-han expressionlessly glanced at him. Not interested. Lin K instantly looked hurt. Don't be so stingy. The more the merrier. Xiezhiji lightly laughed and said to Yi Wanwan, Boss Yi, I coincidentally have some business matters to discuss with you. Clearly, Xiezhiji's and Lin K's intelligence weren't on the same level. Xiezhiji understood who held the power to make decisions in this family, so Yi Wanwan was directly addressed. Yi Wanwan went silent. Business matters? Although Xiezhiji and she both worked in the entertainment industry, that guy had a presence beyond a god. They weren't even comparable, so what business matters did he have to discuss with her? Yi Wanwan hesitated when Xiezhiji abruptly took out his phone. At that moment, Yi Wanwan's phone rang out. It was a message from Xiezhiji. She remembered that long ago. She added Xiezhiji on WeChat, but they never chatted. After opening it, she saw that Xiezhiji sent her a red pocket. What's the meaning of this? Xiezhiji said, It's the first time meeting your son, so consider it a simple greeting gift for him. Yi Wanwan's eyes brightened. Never did she imagine that having a son would bring such great benefits. She could receive red pockets. People should learn from Xiezhiji. He's so understanding. Yi Wanwan clicked the red pocket open and saw the number, which made her even more pleased. Yi Wanwan, who had just been so protective of Tang Tang from those two men, suddenly changed her attitude. Tang Tang quickly thanked this uncle. Tang Tang obediently complied. Thank you, uncle. Xiezhiji smiled. You're welcome. Yi Wanwan. Since it's like this, megastar Xie, let's dine together. Lin K was dumbfounded. What about me? What about me? Yi Wanwan. And who are you to my family's baby? Lin K immediately took out a stack of cash after digging out what he could. Haha, it's my bad. I shouldn't have said such nonsense. This is a red pocket for my obedient nephew. Yi Wanwan raised a brow at this stupid Lin K, who finally caught up to what was happening. That's the least you can do. Yi Wanwan looked at Si Yi-han and said, Audiobook, let's all dine together. The more the merrier. Si Yi-han in. Lin K. Fuck. Why was I ignored when I said the same thing? In the end, Xiezhiji and Lin K successfully joined in on their family dinner. Yi Wanwan, Tang Tang, and Si Yi-han sat together on one side as a family of three while Xiezhiji and Lin K sat opposite them. Si Yi-han. What do you want to eat? Yi Wanwan. You decide. You already know what I like to eat. Thus, Si Yi-han quickly ordered a few dishes, then asked Tang Tang, who was seated beside him. How about you? Nia Tang Xiao looked at the two sitting on the opposite side before looking back at Si Yi-han and replied, Daddy, Tang Tang can eat anything. Si Yi-han relaxed a bit when he was referred to as Daddy. Ever since last night, even after playing together an entire day, Nia Tang Xiao had never once called him Daddy. This was the first time. PFFFF, when Lin K heard the word Daddy, he spat his lemon water out. The scene before him was simply too impossible. Chapter 977. 977. When Yi Wanwan heard the word Daddy, her little heart melted a bit. Oh my, Tang Tang finally called Si Yi-han Daddy. Why do I feel so proud? As Lin K watched the warm and sweet atmosphere around the family of three, he began to wonder what exactly he was there for. I thought I was here for some excitement, so I could find out where this child came from. Lin K mainly wanted to figure this out, so he tagged along. But now he felt like he couldn't ask. He was practically on the edge of his seat. And there was an even more pressing matter. Ninth brother, how could you wear such clothing? My image of you has nearly collapsed inside my heart. Yi Wanwan wordlessly watched as Lin Kei's expression changed endlessly like a stoplight. Ninth brother, is that really your son? Lin Kei's gaze kept switching between the adult and child pair. Si Yihan coolly raised his head to glance at him. Is there a problem? Lin Kei. Is there no problem? Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes at him. Ajio and I have a son. Do you really need to act so dramatically? Lin Kei was stunned by these two. Is there really no need? Learn from Xie Zhizhi. Look how calm he is. Oh, that's right, Megastar Xie. You mentioned there was something you needed to discuss with me? Yi Wanwan couldn't be bothered with Lin Kei, and instead turned to Xie Zhizhi. Xie Zhizhi put down the cup in his hand and replied, My contract with SG is going to expire soon. The contract Xie Zhizhi signed was with a company overseas. SG was one of the top 3 companies in country M. Oh, Yi Wanwan nodded. Is this related to me in any way? So when your contract expires, are you preparing to open your own company? Or did you want to move to a different one? Yi Wanwan casually asked. With Xie Zhizhi's abilities, he could have become independent early on, but it didn't seem as though he intended to do that. I'm not interested in opening my own company. I plan to sign with a managerial company within China. After he said that, Xie Zhizhi smiled at Yi Wanwan. So how about it, Boss Yi? Won't you consider signing me? PFFFF. This time, it was Yi Wanwan's turn to spit out tea. Nanny? Are you kidding? A megastar that an international top 3 managerial company wanted to sign is asking me if I would consider signing him? I never even imagined this possibility, alright? Yi Wanwan coughed non-stop. Tang Tang immediately became worried and handed her a tissue. Si Yihan patted the girl on the back then glanced at Xie Zhizhi. When Xie Zhizhi met Si Yihan's gaze, he looked back coquettishly. Yi Wanwan finally recovered. You must be kidding, right? My establishment is still too small for a great god like you. If Megastar Xie had to sign with a company within their country, he could sign with Emperor Sky Entertainment, which was directly under Yi Group, Worldwide Entertainment, or even Art Style Media. Emperor Sky Entertainment was the entertainment industry's oldest managerial company in the country. Worldwide Entertainment was the second oldest as well as the top company in the country while it ranked in the top 3 internationally. But if he was ambitious, although Art Style Media was less famous, it was a company that worked hard to produce talented artists. As for her company, it had barely taken its first steps, so how could she sign him? Xie Zhizhi lightly laughed. I'm being serious. Boss Yi should think this over some more. Yi Wanwan. Consider my ass. He's clearly playing me. This guy can't be wanting revenge because of last time, right? Chapter 978. Last time Si Yihan suddenly spat out blood. Si Mingli gave her trouble. At that moment, Xie Zhizhi brought with him the jade bracelet and ring Si Yihan showed her before to convince her to go with him. But even if it was the shocking Xie Zhizhi who came for her, she naturally couldn't leave with him. However, Yi Wanwan also knew that despite her stubbornness, Xie Zhizhi still needed to carry out Si Yihan's orders and would forcibly take her with him. And so, under those circumstances, she had to use an underhanded method. She then told Xie Zhizhi that if he forcibly took her away, if Si Yihan didn't die, she would tell Si Yihan that Xie Zhizhi had a crush on her and was actually waiting for that day when he could elope with her. Xie Zhizhi's reaction was as expected. Even though her plan was a bit far-fetched, it was effective enough to render him helpless. In the end, the results proved that it was a good plan since she scared Xie Zhizhi off. Yi Wanwan completely ignored Xie Zhizhi and acted like he was joking and continued to eat dinner with Tang Tang. Xie Zhizhi reached over for the drinks placed on the other side, but clumsily tilted the bottle and spilled wine all over Si Yihan. Xie Zhizhi said innocently, "Ah, my bad." Si Yihan met his gaze and gave a warning with his eyes as he looked over Xie Zhizhi before standing up. "I'm going to the washroom." Xie Zhizhi also got up to follow him. "I'll accompany you." Yi Wanwan bit on her chopsticks as she watched the two of them heading towards the bathroom. Why did it feel that Xie Zhizhi was doing this on purpose? At the end of the hallway where the washroom was, by the window, Si Yihan faced the devilish-looking man opposite him with impatience. Is something the matter? Xie Zhizhi sighed silently from the clear rejection. So cold. Hey, you don't seriously think I have a crush on the girl, do you? Si Yihan's gaze became colder by several degrees. Xie Zhizhi. Even if there's a crush, it would only make sense if she's the one who has a crush on me, right? Once he finished talking, a certain someone's expression became even uglier. Xie Zhizhi raised his hands in surrender. Fine, I admit I didn't handle things properly last time, but I only claim 30% responsibility while your family's wife should claim the other 70%. If you really died, it would have been fine, but if you didn't die, would I still be able to live with the way she was slandering me? I had to confirm that you were really dead before I dared to take her away. Xie Zhizhi spoke in a matter-of-fact tone. So, where did that child come from? He can't really be your kid, right? Xie Zhizhi decided to change topics. Si Yihan expressionlessly replied, We're helping someone take care of him for a few days. Xie Zhizhi lightly smiled. Seems like something she would do. Si Yihan heard this and his expression suddenly changed. Xie Zhizhi felt helpless. You can hide it from that clueless Lin Ke, but you don't really think I'm on the same level as that guy, right? To be honest, I was almost fooled in the beginning until I went to the Si family home to pick her up. This style of handling things, doing whatever the heart wants without any reservation, is clearly. Xie Zhizhi's next words died under Si Yihan's cold and dark gaze. Xie Zhizhi continued meaningfully. Of course, the one who confirmed my suspicions wasn't her, but rather you. He understood Si Yihan too well, so he suspected Yi Wanwan from the beginning. Chapter 979. After Xie Zhizhi stopped talking, Si Yihan's expression didn't change one bit and he replied, She's already dead. Seeing that he wasn't going to admit anything, Xie Zhizhi could only shrug and leave things unsaid. Hey, what are you two talking about in secret? Xie Zhizhi, I knew from the beginning that you were trying to steal ninth brother away on purpose. Lin Ke stormed over. What kind of secret are you two keeping, and why are you trying to hide it from me? And what's going on with that child? Xie Zhizhi glanced at Lin Quebec. Little Yi is helping someone take care of the child for a couple days. Your ninth brother is only a temporary father. Lin Ke looked as though the world was turning upside down. Damn, isn't that too much? And ninth brother is just letting her do what she wants? Xie Zhizhi lightly smiled. Is ninth brother the one dating her or you? I didn't say it before, but isn't ninth brother's gap in aesthetics too big? Lin Ke murmured, then he suddenly remembered something. He paused before continuing. Last month, Demon's martial arts ranking at the Scarlet Flames Academy was taken. Si Yihan's gaze remained calm even when he heard Lin Ke's words. Xie Zhizhi replied, There will always be new talent in every generation, especially in that kind of environment. For any record, there will always be a day when someone breaks it. Lin Ke expressed a bit of anger, but couldn't refute Xie Zhizhi. He quietly said, There hasn't been any news from the old association head. Lately, the situation with the Dusk of Immortals has gotten pretty bad. At that moment, a set of footsteps came from the other end of the hallway. Yi Wanwan silently observed the three people huddled together. Why is it that you men like to go to the washroom in a group? She didn't even need to think to know that these two were definitely asking about Tang Tang. However, a streak of suspicion crossed her eyes. What did I just hear? Dusk of Immortals? What were you talking about? What immortals? Si Yihan's eyes turned frosty and he headed over towards her. We were talking about your company. Lin Ke shrunk from Si Yihan's cold gaze. Huh? What about my company? Yi Wanwan didn't understand. Xie Zhizhi didn't speak too quickly or slowly when he replied. In the near future, someone will likely give you trouble. It's best if you get more people on the production side. Yi Wanwan appeared suspicious of Xie Zhizhi's advice but replied, Got it. Thanks for the tip. She was rising quickly in the entertainment industry, so she must have a few jealous competitors. From that reason alone, she already expected this. She just never imagined that Xie Zhizhi would suddenly give her a tip. It was likely because of Si Yihan. Right, boss Yi, remember to consider what I said. Xie Zhizhi lightly smiled. Yi Wanwan. This matter wasn't even something she needed to consider. Every company wanted Xie Zhizhi, and she did too. But the problem was that her small company couldn't possibly house such a huge star like him. Xie Yihan relaxed when he saw that Yi Wanwan changed her focus, but he still appeared tense. Little Rose Garden. After eating dinner, they returned home. Yi Wanwan tucked Tang Tang into bed, then went to talk to Xie Yihan. Yi Wanwan. When will Mr. Mu be in the country? Xie Yihan. The day after tomorrow. Yi Wanwan nodded. Do I need to prepare anything? Xie Yihan. No need. Asking him was equivalent to not asking at all. He was prepared no matter what came at him. Yi Wanwan frowned as she looked at Xie Yihan. What's wrong? I feel like something's off with you tonight. Are you upset? Yi Wanwan was probably the only one who could read anything from Xie Yihan's expressionless face, and could even tell when he appeared upset. Chapter 980. 980. Xie Yihan was speechless and he didn't reply. Instead, he turned towards her and gently left a kiss on her forehead. Yi Wanwan touched her forehead and unhappily murmured, "You're just trying to appease me." A trace of helplessness flickered in Xie Yihan's gaze as he kissed her on the lips. When he held her, he could feel the warmth of her body. Xie Yihan whispered next to her ear, "I'm really okay." Late at night, at a certain villa in Imperial City, Qin Feng solemnly looked at the girl in front of him. "Mr. Mu arrives the day after tomorrow. Ruoshi, how are your preparations coming along?" Qin Ruoshi appeared determined and confident. "Father, don't worry. Everything is ready." Qin Feng stared at his daughter, who was dressed in an all-black martial arts uniform, before he nodded with satisfaction. Mr. Mu is drunken in love with China's martial arts. Your fighting abilities are so good that Mr. Mu will definitely have a good first impression of you." Qin Feng continued, "Coincidentally, the global martial arts competition is being held in China and Mr. Mu will be attending. At that time, you can also bring several masters along with you." Qin Ruoshi. "Yes, father." "Any movement from that woman lately?" Qin Feng asked. "She's supposedly filming a movie right now," Qin Ruoshi replied. Qin Feng harumphed coldly. This type of woman could never draw Mr. Mu's attention. "I must be getting old, and even more muddled to allow the family head to mess around like this." The next morning, dazzling media. The employees were huddled in groups of 3 and 5 while gossiping. "Vice President Yi is so amazing. The company hasn't been open for that long, yet he's already so famous in the entertainment industry. Even Emperor Entertainment is helpless. They wanted to sue him before, but in the end, the thief was the one calling thief." The most surprising thing is how Emperor made a loud mess of everything, but it only helped Vice President Yi by giving his movie free advertising. If only Vice President Yi was still at dazzling media. What a pity. At that point outside the door, Kai Yongsheng was walking in with his assistant. The two naturally overheard the conversation. The assistant instantly scolded them loudly. "Don't you all need to work? What are you all doing here gossiping? Do you want a pay reduction?" Kai Yongsheng glanced at them darkly. The employees who had been gossiping endlessly didn't dare to speak and the office was filled with a dead silence. Kai Yongsheng gloomily entered his office. "The people who were talking about Yi by just now are all fired," Kai Yongsheng said angrily. The assistant appeared conflicted. Director Kai, a lot of employees quit already and there aren't enough people working in the company. If you fire them, I'm afraid." When Kai Yongsheng kicked Yi Bai out, he caused dazzling media's Luo Chun, Gong Su, and even Felix to leave with him. In the end, even the global star Han Xianyu followed suit. Because things had gotten too out of hand, the board had taken away Kai Yongsheng's position. However, not even a month had passed and Kai Yongsheng returned to dazzling media and became the general director, tasked with returning dazzling media to its former glorious self as atonement. Kai Yongsheng slammed the table hard. Damn. If it wasn't for Yi Bai, dazzling wouldn't have become like this. It was originally a big slab of meat, but now it was nearly down to the bare bones. He had no choice but to swallow it down. What infuriated him even more was how after leaving dazzling media, Yi Bai was doing better than ever. Wasn't this equivalent to slapping him in the face? Chapter 981. 981. When the special assistant saw his actions, she rolled her eyes before she said beside Kai Yongsheng's ear, "Director Kai, competing with Yi Bai doesn't need to be so complicated. Everyone working in the entertainment industry today has a few connections at least. Yi Bai doesn't have any power, nor does he know anyone in the city. He should only have a few security guards working for him. You should consider asking old Three Zhang for a favor. Get them to cause some trouble for Yi Bai's production so they can't even work on their movie." Kai Yongsheng went silent while his eyes glowed. Not a bad idea. Why didn't I come up with this? Even if they tried to investigate, no one could link this back to him. But is old Three Zhang willing? Kai Yongsheng frowned. The special assistant reminded him. "Director Kai, you've forgotten. Old Three Zhang has bones to pick with Gong Su. Now that Gong Su has ignored everyone and left global entertainment, if you coincidentally bring it to old Three Zhang's attention, he won't let this opportunity slip away judging by his personality." Kai Yongsheng's mood improved after hearing this. "You're right. Go help me book a meeting with old Three Zhang." "Yes, Director Kai. I'll go right away." That night, at a 6-star hotel in Imperial City, a man with full abs was wearing a black vest. He impatiently asked, "What is it? Did you need me for something?" A female artist was pouring wine for Kai Yongsheng as she replied respectfully, "Zhang Ji, there's something I came to ask if you could help me with. I've encountered a thorn who doesn't understand the rules, and I was hoping to trouble you to educate them a bit." Old Three Zhang laughed coldly. "General Director Kai, are you treating me like your lackey?" Kai Yongsheng quickly replied, "Zhang Ji, what are you saying? The entire industry in Imperial City knows what type of man you are. Global entertainment depends entirely on you for support." Old Three Zhang was originally a coach for the provincial Chinese boxing team, but he quit so he could make money off the streets. He washed his dirty earnings clean by opening a security company. All the security guards working at Global Entertainment were hired from his company. When old Three Zhang heard this, his expression warmed up a bit. Kai Yongsheng continued on. "Zhang Ji, remember that brat Gong Su, who tarnished your reputation in such a public place. Are you really going to let it go just like that? Aren't you letting him off easy?" Old Three Zhang went silent and his eyes darkened. Before, he set his eyes on a female artist and wanted to forcibly take her. In the end, that brat Gong Su ruined his plans and humiliated him publicly. However, at that time, Gong Su was signed under Global Entertainment, so Chu Hongguang mediated between them. On top of that, Gong Su had his old man backing him up, so he had to silently take it. Kai Yongsheng gave his assistant a look when he noticed old Three Zhang's abnormal expression. The special assistant immediately brought over a suitcase filled with cash. Old Three Zhang slowly glanced over the case. "Of course I'll do Chairman Chu this favor." Kai Yongsheng quickly clinked glasses with him. "Thank you, Zhang Ji. But Zhang Ji, you need to be careful. That brat Yi Bai is very sly and cunning." Kai Yongsheng warned him. Old Three Zhang downed the white wine in his glass in one go. "Relax. This time, I'll go myself." Kai Yongsheng was overjoyed. "Zhang Ji, if you go personally, there definitely won't be any issues." "Haha, I really have to thank that brat Gong Su, otherwise old Three Zhang wouldn't take this so personally. Yi Bai, let's see how wild you can still be." Chapter 982. That night, at a filming location for a life and death struggle, a group of people were nervously filming when a loud noise came from the locked entrance. Yi Mufan asked his fellow workers, "What's going on?" The employees glanced at one another before replying. "It seems as though some fans have forcibly entered and the security guards are blocking them. Because of this, they've begun to scold us and are causing conflict." Yi Mufan headed towards the noise and saw some familiar faces. Yi Mufan's expression darkened. These people aren't fans. He recognized these people as underlings of old Three Zhang. These people were clearly there to cause trouble. Incidents like these happened a lot in the entertainment industry. Rivals always hired others to pick fights over nothing and simply make a mess of things. The cost they were paying to rent their film location was charged by the day. If they were delayed in filming by 1 day, not only would they pay extra fees, but they would also delay the completion date of their film, and they might even miss the best date for screening. If that happened, the losses would be immeasurable. People usually didn't bother big companies, but small companies like theirs often faced this kind of scenario. Yi Mu-fan walked over. Zhangji, how are you so free today that you came to visit? How about we find a place and sit down to chat? If there was room for discussion, and if money could solve the issue, that would naturally be the best. Old Three Zhang coldly laughed and directly replied. There's nothing to discuss. K off. Yi Mu-fan's expression abruptly changed. After Old Three Zhang said that, he sat down in a nearby chair. Go bring that brat Gong Su out here to see me. Yi Mu-fan expressed some suspicion, then he gave some orders to Gong Su's assistant, Dong Zai. Go watch Gong Su and don't let him come out. If the main star became injured, the movie wouldn't be able to keep filming. Yi Mu-fan was about to talk to Old Three Zhang when his cell suddenly rang. Yi Wanwan was calling. Hey Wanwan. Yi Mu-fan walked off to the side. Hey bro, today Yi Wanwan was about to speak when a loud noise rang through the phone from Yi Mu-fan's side, and she quickly asked, What's going on over on your side? Why is it so noisy? It's nothing. Yi Mu-fan watched as those people prepared their machinery, and urgently walked away a bit further. He tried to change the topic. What did you want to talk to me about just now? Did someone come to make trouble? Yi Wanwan calmly asked. She was just thinking about the matter yesterday and didn't imagine that someone would come today. Bro, don't rush. Make sure all the artists leave, especially Gong Su. He's so impatient, so you have to stop him and prevent him from doing anything rash. I'll quickly call some people over to help, Yi Wanwan said quickly. People? Who are you going to ask? Yi Mu-fan frowned. Coincidentally, I know some masters. Try to stabilize the situation first. I'm going to immediately call them over. Yi Mu-fan. Masters? Wanwan, you probably don't know, but Old Three Zhang's people are mostly former Chinese boxers, and can't be held off by ordinary people. Not to mention Old Three Zhang's influence in the industry. Bro, I know my limits. Just try to stabilize things first and don't be rash. Yi Wanwan gave another warning to Yi Mu-fan before quickly hanging up. In the little rose garden, Yi Wanwan called the group of 5 out. Yi Wanwan. There's something I need you all to deal with. The group appeared solemn. Master, whatever it is, please give us the order. There's people trying to cause problems over at the production side and they need backup, Yi Wanwan replied. She pondered who would be most suited for the job. Chapter 983. 983. Heidi angrily rolled up her sleeves. Who dares to have the guts to cause trouble for Master? But currently, Master was hiding her identity, so it made sense. Let me think about who to send. Yi Wanwan murmured as she swept her gaze over the group of 5. Master, me. Let me go, I'll kill whoever you want. Just say the word. Yi Wanwan didn't reply, but the corners of her lips curved upwards. You're only there to settle things. I'm not telling you to kill anyone. Judging by Yi Mu-fan's tone, the situation seemed fairly severe. Their opponents were former members of the provincial Chinese boxing team. So sending a more reliable and responsible person would be better. The best fighter amongst the group of 5 was Jiao Jiao. So why not send Jiao Jiao? Thus Yi Wanwan ordered, Jiao Jiao, head on over. Jiao Jiao immediately held up her skirt and happily curtsied before crisply replying, As you command, Master. Yi Wanwan felt a bit regretful after making her decision. Say, isn't Jiao Jiao a bit too vicious? Whatever. Being vicious was also a good thing. At the filming location. Smash. Smash it all. An endless racket of shouting noises enveloped the area. Luochen appeared anxious. Was that Yi Ji on the phone just now? What did Yi Ji say? Yi Mu-fan solemnly replied. He said he would call some helpers over. Dongzai asked. Yi Ji is going to get help? But they have so many people. Not to mention that Zhang Wei came personally. If Liang Xi and Dong came, he might consider letting us off. Yi Mu Fan didn't have any hope towards Yuanwan. She was only a girl. So how could she know anyone who could fight? Let me go make a phone call. Yi Mu Fan took a deep breath. He had some connections with people in the industry, but after his father lost his position, he didn't contact them anymore. Despite everything, he wanted to try. Old Three Zhang's gang of people were going overboard, so Yi Mu Fan didn't dare to overthink it, and immediately made the call. The phone rang for a while, but someone finally answered his call. Hello, Liangji. Hey, who are you? Yi Mu Fan tried to sound as respectful as possible. Liangji, it's been a long time. Sorry to bother you. I'm Yi Mu Fan, and I wanted to ask you for help. I currently have a conflict with Zhang Wei, and I was wondering if you could be our mediator and help sort things out. The man over the phone seemed to suddenly recall who he was. Oh, I was wondering who you were. It's actually my good nephew Yi. It's not that I don't want to help you, but I'm preparing for the Global Martial Arts Conference right now and I've been training people in seclusion. I don't have the heart to interfere in such a trivial matter. I'm really sorry. Once the person over the phone finished talking, he didn't even wait for Yi Mu Fan to reply and directly hung up like an aquatic animal slipping away into the water. The other party clearly didn't want to get involved with old Three Zhang over something so trivial, and also knew that the present Yi Mu Fan was no longer the Yi family's precious young master. Based off his current status, Yi Mu Fan wasn't influential enough for Liang Xiandong to feel compelled to help out. Yi Mu Fan grinded his teeth, but couldn't think of any more solutions. He could only depend on Yi Wanwan. Wanwan had changed a lot and wasn't as reckless as she used to be. She sounded so confident over the phone, so maybe she really could find someone. As Yi Mu Fan kept worrying, Gongsu rushed out furiously from behind him. F***K. The one surnamed Zhang. Aren't you doing all this because me? I'll take responsibility, so if you're looking for trouble then come directly at me. Chapter 984. Zhang Wei's gaze darkened. Ah, young Master Gong, don't be so impatient. Naturally, I haven't forgotten you. Today he would definitely return the humiliation this brat made him go through before. Yi Mu Fan angrily scolded him. Gongsu, who let you out here? Gongsu tossed his jacket to the side. F***K. They're already stepping all over our faces and I still have to hide inside? Why don't we just fight? Roll with the punches. Let's see who's really scared of who. Yi Mu Fan felt very stressed. This guy's personality was like fireworks. Once he was lit, he would explode. Yi Mu Fan grinded his teeth. Your Yi Ji told you to obediently stay inside and not to come out. Gongsu looked at the mess in the surrounding area, and his expression darkened. Even if you mention Yi Ji this time, it's useless. He couldn't let the entire production team get implicated because of him. Gongsu became even more determined to head out and settle things by himself. At that moment, Luo Chun, who had been standing to the side, spoke. Yi Ji cares about you. He's afraid you'll get hurt. Gongsu stopped at the words, Yi Ji cares about you. Luo Chun took this chance and dragged him back as he continued speaking. Not to mention you're the star. If you get hurt, it'll impact the production of the whole movie. The props and equipment are negligible, but you're the most important here. Do you understand? When Yi Mu Fan heard that, he wanted to cry. Look how Luo Chun is so understanding. Can't Gongsu change his bad temper? Zhang Wei noticed Gongsu had stopped proceeding forward, so he taunted. Weren't you ferocious when you stole my girl? So what, you're a coward now? You're the coward. Gongsu furiously shouted back. Yi Mu Fan was afraid Gongsu wouldn't be able to hold back, and quickly went to restrain him. Gongsu, just wait a bit. Yi Bai is already bringing people over. Gongsu took a deep breath. The one surnamed Zhang, just you wait and see. Zhang Wei laughed aloud. You're still crazy. You still think of yourself as the Gong family's second young master. Let this old man tell you that even if your old man showed up, he can't protect you today. Gongsu jumped up and shouted back. My old man, my ass. I'll tell you a secret. My backing right now is even stronger than my old man. Just you wait. When my boss comes, you're dead. Yi Mu Fan, this guy. If his old man heard what he just said, he would die of anger. Zhang Wei couldn't stop laughing. Ha ha ha. Oh my, I'm so scared. His lackeys also started to laugh. Second young Master Gong, who's your boss? He wouldn't be that pretty boy called Yi Bai, would he? Ha 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 ha. Too funny. Zhang Wei sat back down in his chair. Fine, I'll wait. I also want to see what kind of people that strong boss of yours will bring to defeat me. Zhang Wei's expression was only filled with ridicule and no trace of fear. Right at that moment, several employees cried out in delight. He's here, he's here. Yi Ji came. That's great. As long as Yi Ji is here, things will be fine. Following the cheers, a white car parked at the side of the road. Everyone on the production team eagerly looked towards the car, particularly Luo Chen, Gong Su, Dong Zai, and everyone who had been with Yi Bai for so long. To them, Yi Bai could do anything and there wasn't any problem he couldn't solve. So when they saw Yi Bai's car arriving, everyone let out a sigh of relief. When Zhang Wei witnessed their reactions, his eyes dilated. That so-called Yi Bai was originally part of Dazzling, so he didn't have a full understanding of him but heard rumors claiming that Yi Bai was a bit evil. Was it possible that he could hire an amazing fighter? My darlings have waited so long, but it's still going to take a bit longer for me to arrive, aha. Chapter 985. In the Little Rose Garden. After Yi Wanwan sent Jiao Jiao out, she was preparing to continue to accompany Tang Tang. However, she was still worried. Will sending Jiao Jiao alone be an issue? Yi Wanwan solemnly asked. The fatty beside her nodded. There is one issue. What? Yi Wanwan asked in reply. The fatty lightly coughed. There might be lives lost. People will die? Yi Wanwan frowned. She couldn't help but think that even if Jiao Jiao was an amazing fighter, the opposite party was also extraordinary. Song Chong replied. Master, when Jiao Jiao starts fighting, she easily loses control and can't hold back. Heidi tried to ask. Oh right. Master, who's the opponent? Supposedly, the leader was a trainer for the provincial Chinese boxing team, and the rest are former members. Yi Wanwan replied. The four went completely silent. This was like a fully leveled account massacring a beginner village. Meanwhile, at the filming location, no one saw Yi Bai but rather, they saw a young girl getting out of the car. The girl was wearing a pink-maid uniform with adorable pigtails. She was a live version of a loli. Everyone waited, thinking that someone else would also come out of the car, but in the end, the little loli was the only who came out. Zhang Wei and his lackeys sized up the little loli. What was going on? Why is it a little girl? She should only be a messenger. There must be someone else following behind. Yi Mu Fan urgently asked the girl walking forward. Who are you? Where is Yi Bai? Yi Bai Ji told me to come. Jiao Jiao replied. Yi Mu Fan whispered when he asked. Then where is the helper he hired? Jiao Jiao blinked. Do you mean the person who's going to deal with the situation? Yi Mu Fan nodded. That's right. Gong Su pushed aside Yi Mu Fan and quickly asked. Why are you alone? Where are the boss's people? Are you here to send a message? Hey, aren't you supposed to be dead? Jiao Jiao asked out of curiosity when she saw Gong Su's face. Gong Su, what? Jiao Jiao cocked her head in confusion. Didn't you commit suicide with the eldest Miss Shen? Gong Su finally understood what she was talking about, and suddenly felt exasperated. Little girl, that was a TV show. It's not real. How old are you? Shouldn't you be able to tell the difference between television and reality? He felt flattered though. This was the first time someone had watched his acting so immersively. No. Let's get back to serious business. Who are you exactly? Where's the person my Yi Ji hired to help? Gong Su hurriedly asked. Jiao Jiao replied. If you're asking about the person who's supposed to settle everything, that would be me and no one else. Gong Su, Yi Mu Fan, Luo Chen. The entire area went silent for a second. You're going to settle everything? You must be teasing, right? Gong Su had wholeheartedly waited for his Yi Ji to cross a rainbow with thousands of soldiers and horses to save him, but now, he was completely shocked with disbelief. Yi Mu Fan had his hands on his head. Little girl, don't joke anymore. What's really going on? What's the deal with Wanwan? How could she send a little girl who seems underage to such a dangerous place? When Zhang Wei and his lackeys heard their conversation, they were first surprised, then they began to laugh aloud. Ha 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 ha. What did the little girl just say? She's going to settle things? Ha ha ha, I'm going to die of laughter. Sending a maid from home to settle things is really a first. Chapter 986. 986. A man with a flower tattoo on his arm laughed loudly. Hey little girl, I'm asking because you're dressed like this, but are you actually a housemaid for Yi Bai? Jiao Jiao proudly nodded. That's right. Ha 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 ha. Damn. It's actually true. Zhang Wei and his lackeys laughed even harder. Zhang Wei and his lackeys weren't the only ones dumbfounded. So were Yi Mu Fan and the others. This girl is actually Yi Bai's housemaid? How could Yi Ji send you over to help? Gong Su couldn't help but tug on her sleeve. The little loli's expression appeared even more proud. That's because I'm the most amazing, so master chose me. Gong Su. Yi Mu Fan had a headache and he kept rubbing his temples. He just called Yi Wanwan again, and it didn't go through, so he couldn't figure out what exactly was happening. Could it be that the helper Wanwan sent encountered an accident on the road? And what was up with this little girl? Yi Mu Fan didn't have time to think about it anymore, and instead, he tried to calm things down. Zhang Ji, let's not beat around the bush. What exactly do you want here? Zhang Wei laughed. Haha, weren't you all still acting cocky just now? Didn't you say you were going to get someone to fight me? What, are you terrified now? You want to barter with me? If you want to discuss matters with me, fine. First have Gong Su kneel down, then kowtow to me 3 times and call me grandpa. Gong Su grinded his teeth. F***K. Call you grandpa? More like I'm your grandpa. Come at me. If you have the ability, come fight me. Jiao Jiao nodded seriously at that. That's right, if you have the ability, then go hit him. Gong Su, please, I was simply taunting a bit. You don't need to be so serious. I don't really want to be hit. At that moment, Zhang Wei lost his last shred of patience, and his eyes frosted over. Humph, you damn brat. I can tell you're all trying to fool me. This old man will do what you want then. Beat them up. Viciously beat them up. Don't let a single one go. Yes, boss. After receiving orders, a dozen of tall and bulky men began to surround them. Their security guards had already fallen in defeat early on. The remaining people were made up of Dong Zai and several other employees. The director was grasping the broken equipment, and his eyes were reddening from heartbreak. Their surroundings were a complete mess, and everyone was scared. Originally, they thought Yi Bai would bring a helper over, but who knew that this kind of misunderstanding would occur? Zhang Wei smiled evilly as he walked step by step towards Gong Su. Ha, you damn brat. Didn't you say you would bear all the responsibility alone? If you have the capability, then don't dodge this. Zhang Wei frequently practiced Sansho, and all the muscles and nerves in his body were bulging. He was 190 centimeters tall, and when he stood up, he was like a mountain. Before Gong Su could reply, Jiao Jiao harumphed. Big guy, if you have the capability, then beat him to death. Master said she couldn't let anyone die. The main objective was to protect this blonde-haired person, so she would definitely listen to her master's orders. She needed to hold back, but if the other party did anything to Gong Su, she would strike back. Jiao Jiao then turned to Gong Su and said, You can relax. I will protect you. Gong Su was about to cry. Is she here to protect me or here to ruin me? Come, one hit him. Older sister, I'll call you older sister, okay? Just don't speak anymore. Damn brat. If you don't want to die, then get lost. You think this old man is playing house with you? Zhang Wei directed his fist towards Gong Su's face. Chapter 987. Oh my God. Gong Su's pupils dilated. It was over. His beautiful face. Isn't this too shameless? The first punch is directed at my face. At that moment, a promise surfaced in Gong Su's mind. He said he would be responsible for his flower-like beauty. If his face was ruined, Yi Ji definitely wouldn't want him anymore. The moment Zhang Wei made the first move, excitement flashed through Jiao Jiao's eyes and she let out a cute snicker. Gong Su. Yimu Fan shouted loudly. Luo Chen's expression instantly changed. Everyone appeared panicked and was afraid. If this punch connected, their movie wouldn't be able to finish. Right when Zhang Wei's fist was half a palm away from Gong Su, the sound of flesh colliding reverberated in the next second. The little girl's small open palm could be seen stopping Zhang Wei's fist in midair. How could that be? Zhang Wei's sardonic smile, which was still plastered on his face, stiffened as he stared at his own fist which wouldn't budge. How can this girl be so strong? Zhang Wei wasn't even able to react to the following bang, when he was suddenly dragged by his own hand and thrown away like a kite. His whole body flew and he hit a column hard. He was like a broken doll as he slid down to the ground. Huff! Zhang Wei suddenly puked blood out. Everyone stared wide-eyed at the little lowly in the maid uniform who could throw such a burly man. This was practically a scene from a SFX film. Gong Su's mouth formed an O shape while Yimu Fan rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Cough, 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 cough. It was only when Zhang Wei coughed weakly before his lackeys finally reacted and hurriedly rushed over to Zhang Wei's side. Boss, are you okay? Fuck. What kind of situation is this? A little housemaid actually sent our boss flying with one move. Everyone stared at the little girl with shock on their faces. Never had they imagined that a little girl could be so terrifying. Zhang Wei held his chest, his expression darkening to the extreme. How could I be beaten by a little girl? How could I suffer such humiliation? Computer, capture that damn brat for me. Everyone go. Even if she could fight, she was only one person. Fuck. This bitch. Everyone together. All the lackeys arrogantly shouted and rushed towards Jiao Jiao. Shua. The man with the flower tattoo sent a punch towards the little lowly. The little lowly lightly reached out and grabbed his elbow. In the next second, the filming location was filled with sounds of bones breaking and one of the columns even collapsed. Yimu Fan watched as one person got beaten up after the other. At first, he was surprised, but now, it was beginning to turn into fear. Gong Su was becoming even more afraid as he watched. Damn. This little girl. No, boss. Don't fight. Don't fight anymore. That's enough. If you keep beating them up, someone's going to die. The other party was incapable of hearing anything. In her current state, her eyes were red with excitement. She was like a horror film character that gave people goosebumps. Chapter 988. 988. There were a total of a dozen people who couldn't fight back at all. Throughout the entire process, it was a one-sided fight where they became sandbags. Everyone in the filming location watched with dumbfounded expressions. No one imagined that a cute and adorable little girl could be so frightening and vicious, and could make the hairs on their arms stand on end. This was basically going beyond common sense. At that moment, Zhang Wei's two wrists were being stepped on to pieces. He was being tortured alive. Gong Su shuddered as he held on to Luo Chen. Mommy, I'm scared. He could only watch as the little lowly continued smiling and approached Zhang Wei. Didn't I already tell you? Master told me to come because I'm the most amazing. Zhang Wei had originally been fiercely putting up a fight, but now, only fear remained and he was writhing around in pain on the floor. The little lowly's shadow loomed over Zhang Wei's face. This isn't right. There's never been a survivor amongst those I've defeated. What? A murderous intent flickered through her eyes, which convinced Zhang Wei she was telling the truth. What's going on here? How could such a monster appear in Imperial City? Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Please, I'm begging you. It's my fault. I really know it's all my fault. I'll even kneel down. Zhang Wei's entire body was shivering weakly on the floor. A nasty smell appeared. He was actually scared to the point of pissing his pants. Under such murderous pressure, even though he did practice martial arts, he couldn't counter at all. But he was fairly capable in sensing that the situation was abnormal. He could still tell that the other party wasn't average. Zhang Wei knew Yi Bai was sly and thus wouldn't come personally and would likely bring a lot of people over. Never had he imagined that this would be the result. But even if he knew now, it was already too late. Zhang Wei wasn't the only one anxious. Yimu Fan and the others were the same. If someone died, their production team wouldn't be able to get away scot-free. They wanted to stop her, but the little lowly was simply too terrifying and no one dared to step forward. As for Zhang Wei's lackeys, they had already fled early on. Little girl, it's fine. Teaching him a lesson like this is enough. Yi Mufan hurriedly tried to persuade her, but the little lowly was completely immersed in her own little world. Master said not to kill anyone. So, let's see. How to leave you half alive. Zhang Wei couldn't take it anymore and tried to get up and run away. The little lowly let out a cute laugh and caught up in a flash as the sharp claws on her fingertips targeted Zhang Wei's vital points. It's all over. Yi Mufan appeared alarmed. Everyone watching went pale with fear when suddenly, a shadow slipped between the little lowly and Zhang Wei. Bang! The little lowly's hand was stopped by a palm before she could even touch Zhang Wei. Yi Wanwan's voice came from behind. That's enough, Jiao Jiao. Oh, Master, you came? Once the little lowly saw Yi Wanwan, her eyes glittered and she reverted back to her previous innocent appearance. Yi Wanwan went silent. Luckily, she kept worrying and came. Didn't I specifically order her not to kill anyone, and only settle the situation? Chapter 989. Everyone let out a sigh of relief once Yi Wanwan appeared, and was able to stop the terrifying little lowly with one move. Zhang Wei nearly fainted from fright. His forehead was covered in sweat as he looked at Yi Wanwan as though she was his hero. Yi Bai. The little girl was pretty terrifying, but the pretty boy Yi Bai was actually able to block her. Wah! Yi Ji is so handsome. Really, really handsome. All the employees at the filming location began to excitedly scream. Yi Ji, you finally arrived. Everyone was nearly scared to death. Gong Su passionately rushed over, and as a result, he clumsily tripped on something and let out a cry because he sprained his ankle. Yi Wanwan was speechless and hurried over to help him up. Be more careful. Can't this child try to be more reliable? Yi Ji, this little girl is really your housemaid? Gong Su asked with a scared look on his face. Yi Wanwan. That's right. Gong Su looked like he didn't believe her. That can't be. Are house services this year that terrifying? You can even hire this kind of person? Go get Dong Zai to help you apply some medicine. Yi Wanwan helplessly called Dong Zai over to support him. Afterwards, Yi Wanwan asked Yi Mufan, did anyone get hurt? Yi Mufan replied back. Other than the equipment that was broken and Gong Su, no one else got hurt. Yi Wanwan. Alright. So no one got hurt on their side besides Gong Su, who sprained his ankle on his own. Jiao Jiao's mission was completed with acceptable results even though she did go overboard. Yi Wanwan observed the area that was filled with wailing, pitiful lackeys and Zhang Wei, who had 2 broken wrists, and peed himself. She rubbed her temples because of the headache she was having right now. Jiao Jiao, didn't I tell you to only stabilize the situation? The current situation was stabilized into a wreck. A Jiao Jiao? This terrifying girl who could scare people to death is called Jiao Jiao? When everyone heard this name, their expressions became hard to describe. Jiao Jiao delicately murmured. Master, I was preparing to leave him half alive. Yi Wanwan, half alive. Really, he's going to be half alive. Yi Wanwan helplessly glanced at Zhang Wei. Zhang Ji, I'm sorry to have offended you like this. Yi Wanwan said as she reached out, wanting to help him get up. In the end, Zhang Wei acted as though he saw a ghost and crawled away. Don't come over here. Yi Wanwan rubbed her nose, and with a warm expression, she said, Zhang Ji, I'm a businessman. If others don't wrong me, then I won't wrong them. Just now my underling was a bit too heavy-handed, so I apologize. All his lackeys, even the employees of the production team, were all speechless. A bit too heavy-handed. This is called a bit too heavy-handed? SS. Sorry. Boss Yi. It was me who failed to recognize Mount Tai. I'm sorry I offended you. You're the bigger man, so please forgive me. I actually didn't want to give you any trouble. It was Kai Yongsheng, that brat who was stirring up trouble. Zhang Wei directly sold out Kai Yongsheng. Zhang Wei's gaze was cautious. If Yi Bai didn't have some strong power backing him, he couldn't possibly have hired such a formidable fighter. This Yi Bai looked helpless and weak, but in reality, he wasn't so simple. That one move which he used to block the little lowly appeared calm like the wind, but only he knew just how terrifying it really was. If he was the one who countered that move, he would have instantly died from it. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.